Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Shooting the Shelf here on the Just Shelve It channel. I'm Jesse Arnold, and with me is the one and only Curtis Ackerman. How are you tonight, Curtis?
Doing excellent. I've got my coffee here to keep me awake after my long drive back from Michigan, and I'm ready to roll.
What were you doing in Michigan?
I was there from a ski con. It was an excellent time. We had a lot of people show up. It was a really fun show. So good to hang out with everybody.
I'm assuming Bill's calling me Dubon with my blue light since the figure's not as blue as the pictures look, maybe?
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you had a fun time, and it looks like you got to meet J-Mac in person.
Yeah, I got to see a lot of folks this weekend. It was one of those shows that it wasn't super customizing heavy. There was a lot of folks that we were trying to educate on Mythic Legions, and we got a few more members in the Wolf Den, and a lot of people checking out products and kind of thinking about getting into painting. So it was more of an educational type show, but yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Excellent. Well, say quick hello to all those in the chat at the moment. So J-Max out there, Bill from Dorklair, David Williams, Joe Gonsalves, Nate Strong, Patrick Boyle, Trevor 16 Shooter. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. And for all of you that are tuned in right now, my lucky number 13 at the moment, give a round of warm digital applause. Didn't get it quite right, but not quite wrong either, to the one and only Billy Beige.
Beige Bomber.
What's up, guys?
Okay, we put you backstage and you had a cat in your lap, and now you've got a dog. Like, what's going on, man? You got a whole zoo there you're switching out?
Basically, I have like 2 inside dogs, 2 inside cats, 3 outside dogs, 1 outside cat. I got a lot of animals here.
Seen a lot of folks in the
chat. I don't have a lot.
I saw this weekend. Hung out with Nate, Jay, Steve-O. So I appreciate everybody that came out this weekend. It was a great time. So didn't see you there, Billy. You didn't make the drive. What would that have been like 18 hours for you or something?
Give or take an hour.
I mean, for what, a 7-hour show? You totally should have made that.
Exactly.
I should have. I mean, next year I'm definitely planning on going.
Yeah.
I'm just like expanding cons 1 a year now. I'm just gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna try. Did 1 last year, maybe try to do 2 this year. Toyland is coming up, and I'm still like, I'm still on the ball, going like, I'm gonna make it.
Yeah, I didn't stay at the hotel, but I heard they had pretty solid floors in the rooms, so you would have been fine.
Oh, thank God, that's good.
Yeah,
good to know.
Excellent.
All right. Well, we're going to get into our shelf selections here, where we've got our pictures that we've selected out for this week, and just kind of talk about the art that we saw that we really liked. I think I'm usually first. Let's see if that holds.
Well, this week I felt like, yeah, you're still first.
Nice. This one is that F-Ball 13Z.
That is correct.
And just haven't seen a lot from this person, but I thought this was fabulous. It's one of those where I've talked to people before about kind of starting with the sculpt that's already there. Start with the lines, the rivets, the things that are already there, and just kind of paint it in, almost like paint by color kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So I think this is a good example of that. Now, obviously, the face is a little bit different because now you're talking about a human face and blending skin tones and stuff, and that came out fabulous as well. But I love the simplicity and how detailed the armor looks, and then the face, the flesh tones and everything came out really well. So I just like this all around.
Yeah, I love the color combo on that. It's nice and clean, and the kind of keeping that one base color, that silver in it, and that with the red and gold highlights is really nice.
Yeah,
a really nice job on that.
Billy, you got anything? No.
He's fantastic. I also love his Vallejo paint stack in the back. I'm just like, he's so organized. I'm just jealous.
That's the only reason I almost didn't put it in there.
He's like, it's too organized. I'm like, man, it should be everywhere.
That, and I can see the palette that's not a wet palette. So those are 2 marks against him. But the figure was awesome enough to, overtake it. So.
Oh yeah, I love the pauldrons on there too. It's very well done.
Absolutely. Man, Curtis, don't judge my desk, man. Up next from Aloha Toy Photography on Instagram. I just really loved this shot. The way I had to crop it to fit it in here, cropped off the bottom of it, but just the mist rolling in, the fog around Hadriana on Balius is just, and just the lean on the horse. It just feels just a really nice dynamic pose there. It's like she's circling a fallen enemy, to come back to finish the job or something.
Yeah, it kind of looks like she's like running through a really shallow like creek or something. Like the horse is running through there and splashing up. But yeah, the motion and the pose on the horse, I'm not a big horse fan. They just feel like they take up a lot of room and stuff. And I have a hard time getting them into good poses. But this looks fabulous. Like it does look like it's completely in motion. So yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, like you were saying with like the creek, it reminds me of being like an early morning where the fog has where it's like low to the ground and coming around on the battlefield. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's like
tails even up.
Yeah, it's like someone tried to like sneak into the camp, for a surprise attack, but they were ready for him or something. Yeah, again, the figures and the pictures, when done right, just tell their own story.
I saw this one in person this weekend. This was a dwarf custom done by the one and only Eric Miller. I talked to him about this, and he really put a lot of work into this. I only got the one shot, but I think I did. There was not a second one on this one, right?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The face was super detailed. It was like, yeah, a lot of work into there, and it just came out looking phenomenal. And I think Travis Bowles ended up buying this from him. So he brought 3 full customs to the con, and I think he sold 2 of them. And then he sold some heads and stuff as well. So awesome. He had some really great stuff, but this was definitely one of them.
Yeah, the ram head pauldrons, just awesome.
Yeah, and that helmet or that head just looks great with just that black and gold combination. It's really good. And I misunderstood you, Curtis. Yeah, this was the only picture of this one you sent to me.
Okay. Yeah, and I like a lot of times the dwarves have the really huge beard, which I don't have a problem with, but I think it's neat to have one that's kind of more narrow, and it's just kind of a unique look. So I really like that.
Especially when you put that much work into the torso, to hide it all behind a massive beard.
Right.
Yes.
Moving on to this one again, another beard.
Real quick, I'm sorry. Also, Eric Miller, awesome dude, really great person. Hung out with him. His table was right next to ours, and then we went out for like food and drinks and stuff afterwards. Just a great dude to hang out with. So just throw that out there.
Yeah, Eric's great. I saw the pictures that Alexander posted of him and his son's turtle customs with Eric's turtle customs. When he was talking about that last night.
It was such a great moment. Like, so we get there, and Alexander was setting up across from us, and he brought some amazing stuff too. He had that Castle Grayskull thing, and then he had those stables that he put together. And he brought us over to show us these turtles. And we're like, oh man, these things are phenomenal. He goes, yeah, my son did most of the painting on that. We're like, what? And he brings over this little tyke. And I mean, this dude's like, 3 foot nothing. And he's like, yeah, he did all this together. And I'm like, man, those are phenomenal. And then he was, really in love with Eric's turtles. And then they got that shot with Eric's turtles with his together. And it was just such a great moment. And that's the kind of stuff that these conventions are all about is, hanging out and inspiring people and, seeing a kid that young getting into the hobby really awesome, good stuff.
Yeah, and I'm gonna throw this up here real quick. Kevin dropping some wisdom on us here. The head and shoulders of this piece were sculpted by Blue D Sculptures and commissioned by Austin Morrison. So check out Blue D. I think you can find her on Instagram and maybe a Patreon. I'm not entirely sure how that works, but I know Brian C's been doing some backing on there. But yeah, check out
Cool.
Blue D.
Now on to yours. Sorry, I interrupted.
All right. It's not completed, but again, the dwarves, I'm not as big a dwarf fan as some folks, but certain ones just literally like jump off the screen at me. And this one, it does have that full massive beard going on, but just the braids and that they're all kind of like in motion. Even though he's not finished, I already can feel like a character building around this.
Oh, yeah. A lot of times with the dwarves, especially with the beards and even like the face and stuff, I feel like a lot of sculptors get kind of in this symmetrical mode where everything is perfect, and it's like, it's the same on the left as it is on the right, and this is not, and this is more realistic to me. It's kind of like you watch like Lord of the Rings or Hobbit or something like that. Like they don't have everything just like perfectly tailored and it's like or sculpted, and they just got out of the salon and had a makeup artist and now they're getting on screen. Like you need to have some realism, and this to me is a very good action pose. You got him yelling there, and the braids are going different ways, and yeah, it's just really cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love the helmet. I just love like covering down that way. You don't see that type of helmet often.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a really fun look. Ooh. This one, we got 2 pictures here, Curtis, from your next choice here.
Yeah, and we had one from Arthas Zoran last week, and I saw this one, and I was like, man, I got to throw them on there 2 weeks in a row because this is just terrific. I love the combination of parts. Those pauldrons, the head, he used that mask there that typically is going with like Kauros. And then I think the next shot shows him with it on. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's
and then
cool.
and then he's got those claws from Wolf King, and it's just a really cool figure. And I love when people can kind of mix and match parts from different vendors and put together this, a custom that, I mean, it looks like it all goes with this person, like it belongs there, but they weren't created to all go together. So it's just really fun.
And I'm gonna bounce back.
It looks like it's on like a
just to see. So this is the same torso on these dwarves, I think, but just the paint and just the different profile. Like this one, he feels more barrel chested, even though it's the exact same thing. But the way the hair and armor comes down totally makes it look.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure most of that Gonk's body on there.
Mm.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, and I like the shorter beard. Like I like the long beards on dwarfs, but I like the variety.
Yeah, I mean, normally I wouldn't find a dwarf very imposing. Like see a dwarf, I'm like, just hold him at arm's length. Kind of let him swing at you, kind of thing. But this guy here looks pretty scary. Like I don't know that I want to face him in the early morning mist that we were talking about. So
excellent. Another photo this week from Fingelfin 3311. I just love the dynamic leaping Sir Owain there, doing the kind of that 300, not 300, Troy, Brad Pitt, Achilles spear thrust right to the throat on that ogre.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like the shot with the trees in the background and the angle of the lighting and stuff. Yeah, that's really neat.
Yeah, the coloring on it, it almost feels like something out of like a horror movie, like a medieval horror movie or something.
Yeah.
Let's see what's next.
This is
Joe Russo.
Yeah, this is a Joe Russo, and
are you sure there's not enough chest going on?
Yeah, I would have.
I don't know. Like a really pretty man face, and I was like, Joe Russo.
I would have got the Instagram version of this, but Joe Russo doesn't yet have an Instagram, and I was trying to talk him into
What?
creating one because it's just, to me, Instagram is just such a good tool for keeping all your work kind of in one spot. It's a good place for people to kind of go and see. It's like an online portfolio, basically. So I was talking to him a little bit about that. So if anybody out there friends with Joe Russo, hit him up, tell him he needs to create an Instagram. But this one was in the Cabal. I just love the overall look, the combination of parts there, you know, how he tied in that loin piece with the tabard to where it all looks like it's one piece, but it's not. Then the paint job on the head is phenomenal, and just the overall look and stance, and yeah, just I liked how this came out for sure.
Yeah, I don't know where that bottom half of that tunic and the belt came from, but that looks like it just looks like it blends together so nicely. And I love the more subtle like fleur-de-lis instead of like the entire like jersey sized
Right.
emblem. I like that it's a little more subtle take on that.
It's almost modest. It's kind of amazing for Joe.
Yeah, it's kind of like a fancy pants night. So
yeah,
which is, you know, kind of Joe Russo. So
it's subtle, but like in a not subtle way.
Yeah, and Kevin here says pretty much the only reason I have Instagram. Same here. Like I never did Instagram before joining the Cabal. And my kids were talking to me about it and stuff. And the only reason I have it really is for my customs. So, like I said, hit up Joe Russo and tell him got to get that Instagram together. So,
and from the Cabal, Cloud Foxwell with this fun shot of Artemis. Again, the way it cropped, it looks like that's like a boxing glove arrow, but it's an arrow going into a skeleton's face.
Oh, nice.
And I just love that.
I saw this one, and this was wonderful. I love this. I love her work.
Yeah, I have my Artemis on almost the exact same pose, but not she's not taken out a skeleton on my shelf, unfortunately. So
I don't have her in the same because I don't have her on the moose, because the moose belongs with dwarves, in my opinion. But I do love this shot. I like that it looks like, you know, the arrow is coming right at the screen, kind of like the way, as far as how she's holding the bow, it looks like it's coming straight at you. So yeah, it's a good perspective shot, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And that's it. That's it for the shelf selections this week.
And I thought that all the pictures did them justice. So good job.
Yeah.
Good job. So,
Billy.
Yes.
What's your story? Tell us something fun. No, seriously. Like what toy collecting all your life? Did you, like, so many of the folks we have on, you know, like late into high school, you know, college age, they were into girls or sports or cars or other stuff and kind of gave up toys for a bit. Has this been a lifelong thing? Were there gaps, or is this a newer thing for you?
There definitely was gaps. Like around 2012, I moved to Michigan. Not Michigan. Oh my God, why is it Michigan? Why am I thinking? Why is it on my brain? Moved to Virginia.
I don't know.
And then for about a decade, I was out of it. I think I know the exact two figures I picked up in that time. I picked up Classics Skeletor and Classic Stinkor. And Stinkor now lives with Jeremy DeWitt. And but I wasn't big into him then, because like it was like first time away from home, had where like I was struggling there and everything, and like I built myself up. And then I came back to Mississippi, and then I had a chance to like start getting back into stuff. And it was only like, God, probably, I think I found Mythic Legions about the same time that Curtis did, because it was a couple years ago. And at first I was like, what are these? I saw them in Big Bad Toy Store. I wasn't aware of the Kickstarter at the time. And found them there, picked them up, and I was like, oh, okay, let's see how this goes. I was like, wow, they're kind of hard to move. I'm gonna do this stuff like that. Didn't know any better. And then a pre-order came up, and I like that's when I got pulled in there. And then also like hearing on My Wife Is Gonna Kill Me, a little bit on Poe2, which led me to My Wife Is Gonna Kill Me, and then into the Cabal. And it's been a roller coaster since.
So were you stalking Curtis and following his story at the time, or did this just kind of happen on its own?
It was weird because like I got back into like He-Man because I had like a few He-Man characters and like watched the 2000X show as a kid, and I tried to find some podcasts on there. Found Poe2, and it was the most listenable one. I could sit there and listen to it, and it wasn't like people fighting over the lore and stuff. It was like two guys who genuinely loved it. And then I'd randomly hear like, oh, here's Curtis. Oh, he wrote us another question and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, cool. And then they started talking about the tribute figures. And God, since that, I've pulled into everything now. Like whether it be like just the rant, I buy random stuff. Everyone knows I buy random stuff. Between going back into like some vintage Turtles, Lightning Collection monsters. I'm just looking around here. Oh God. Mario, Alf. It's all over the place, and it's like this is the prime time for me to be able to do this because everything's coming back out. Everything's there that like I loved as a kid, missed out on for a while. And I'm able to pull back into my life. It's pretty awesome.
So, as opposed to being the Junkman Jeremy from Michigan, you're the thrift store Billy of Mississippi.
It doesn't roll off the tongue.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. It doesn't roll off the tongue very well. But I try to stick mainly to Legions, and I'm trying to be better about that because I'm like, there's a lot of things you pick up. You're like, ooh, this is neat, and it's just like, wow, that's gonna go sit in the bag, or that's gonna go on eBay. I got a lot of Marvel Legends that are about to go on eBay because I'm just like, wow, I bought this to get the Build-A-Figure. Junk.
Well, on top of collecting toys, you do a lot of other stuff. I know, we
there
are
it
both,
is.
we bargain bin Billy. That works.
Hashtag
I
print.
didn't even have to pay a fortune for that name right there. Thanks.
There you go. So we're both fans of the My Wife Is Gonna Kill Me podcast. I know that in that group as well as in the Cabal, you put some of the funniest memes out there. Like, how much time do you spend just putting memes together for laughs?
I don't do it in advance, thankfully. It's not all consuming, but like I had a day off yesterday, and like I was kind of putzing around the house, and I was like, man, I wish everyone's having fun, and I'm like, I wish they post more pictures. And I'm like, oh, here's some great shots. I probably spent like a couple hours yesterday just like listening to podcasts and just like trying to cut out Jeremy in that perfect Roadhouse pose, and then like get Travis from behind. Everyone's trying to do that.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I like, do these things just hit you? Like you see the picture and you're like, oh, I know this is funny, or do you have to think about it for a little bit, or like how does that work? Because some of the stuff you put out there is just hilarious.
Honestly, I just start fiddling around. If it makes me giggle, I'm like, that's a winner. If it makes me laugh, it's done its job, and then I share it with everyone. And I hope it makes them laugh too.
You don't even care if other people laugh. It made you laugh, so it's good enough. But no, yeah, that Roadhouse one was hilarious. And then
it's so good. I was just like,
yeah. I mean, some of that stuff it kind of became too easy. Like when you see the pictures of Steve with the microphone, and he's got interviewing Jim, or he's holding the microphone in front of this lady that comes up, this 92-year-old lady that comes up to talk to him, and
in a neck brace. I don't have to do anything. That's hilarious.
Yeah, but I like the Roadhouse one with Jeremy. That was cool. That one had me cracking up.
Oh God, I love Jeremy so much. He he got me into customizing from watching Mythic Conversations. Forgot to mention that I do a little bit of customizing when I have time and the effort inside my body, and love him to death. But like, man, he's perfect for memes because whether he's like super excited, his accent's coming through, or you just see him just in his resting face. It's
I was kind of expecting when I was on his show a few weeks ago, and I mentioned that is coming up next year. It's the 20th year of Four Horsemen Studios, 10th year of Mythic Legion, and the year of the Dragon. And he made this face, and I thought for sure you were gonna like take a snap of that and do a meme. And I didn't see anything, but I was like, man, I immediately at that point I was like, Billy's gonna jump all over this.
There's still time.
There you go.
That was going to be my next question. You mentioned a little bit about your customs. I didn't grab any pictures. I'm sorry, but that one you did that was the ogre Gorgo was just really cool. It felt like you whipped that out pretty fast from when you got those.
I did because like I was waiting on it. I had something planned when the figures were announced and everything. I was like, please get here on time. And then Lynn LaGuardia, fantastic guy, was like, hey, if you got a custom, you can put it in my booth at Legions Con. I'm like, I can show off my stuff. People can look at my things. And I whipped it together. I started working on the armor as soon as I got it. And I was just waiting on the Sobolist to come in, and it finally did. And it's just like, I got to do it. And wait, that doesn't belong there.
Oh, he's got a little nice little hat. Yeah, that came out phenomenal.
Yeah.
Putting that head on there, I'm just like, I can't wait for the PowerCon exclusive to come out, because I'm like, if I can get one, I kind of want to like swap out the glowing head on there just for photos, And it's just,
Just happy
but I put a lot of work into this.
Yeah, you did.
I still feel like I could revisit it, add some weathering to like some of the like leather parts on there, stuff like that in my head. But like, I still haven't got around to get another Disabilist. I've been sitting on my laurels here.
Well, you haven't exactly been lazy as of late, because you've been putting out content ridiculously. When you're not doing memes, you're now doing all these YouTube videos, and you're just like pumping these things out. I just got done watching a couple of the Rat King ones that you did with the head from Ramen, as well as the whole figure from Super 7. So like, tell us about getting into that and now being as active as you are on YouTube. What's your thoughts on how that's gone?
I think it's definitely again, it entertains me, and that's the number one there. Like, if I'm having a good time, I'm gonna keep doing it. It's weird because I was like, okay, I'm waiting. I think one of my first ones was just like, I was like, I just want to do it. I just want to make a video. We finally have a better internet out here, so it was like I can do things like stream right now. And I was like, I've always wanted to, I watch Dork Lair, D Amazing, the Whoosh, all those guys do interviews and stuff like that. I'm like, that's fantastic. I'm like, well, I think I can do just something a little different that brings like a little bit of value to it. So let me try that. And I'm like, it also had where it added to me actually opening stuff, because it's not that like I'm not an open box collector or anything. I run out of time, or it's like so busy, and it's just like, I can go take a nap or watch a movie or get some TV or get some yard work done, which I'm behind on. And this gives me an excuse to open stuff up, play with it, see what's going on, make sure the paint details aren't jacked up on some stuff. Looking at you, NECA. It's stuff like that. And then I was like, okay, let me do a paint tutorial on here, because I thought it would be fun, because I was like, I've seen these on there. I watched like the mini witch love her. Her stuff has where it applies to like small figures to large, well, small minis to actual action figures with some of like her techniques and stuff. And I was like, I love that. Let me try that, because it was like, let's get Rusty in here, and did that. And that one, that blew up, and I'm like, crap, I gotta do more. I gotta do more of these. Nuts. And then finally with like the I don't want to say it's like a super drama for the Rat King, but like that one, because I was just like, there's a story behind this. There's stuff going on. I really should have put a better picture on it, because it's like I put what happened, and everyone's like, well, let me tell you what happened. I'm like, no, in the video I say what happens. If you watch the video, you see what I said.
Right.
I'm just like, be polite. Thanks, guys.
So that's what you get for using clickbait titles, is you get people reacting to the title and not actually watching your video.
Right.
Exactly. I should have put more like the Zezre Gladiatrix figures in there. I'd have like a whole bunch of hits.
Well, I think it's been interesting because you're not sticking to one thing. You are kind of bouncing around. Like there's some, you got some paint tutorials on there. You've got, some open boxing, open box reviews and stuff. Then when there's something going on like newsworthy, you're posting those kind of things. The Conan came out, had some issues with the arm, and you posted a fix right away for it. So yeah, you're doing a lot of different things on there, and it does seem like people are responding fairly well.
Yeah, if I feel like it helped me out, or if I could help someone out with something I did, because like I feel like a lot of people have where they're not DIYers, but if they just have like a little push or a little lead into like how to do something, they can jump into it. And again, back to Jeremy Gerard, his little bit of tips on like how to paint and stuff got me into painting, and I think that's fantastic. And I try to like somewhat emulate that with like fixing things or painting things, and in general, it's just trying to help someone out.
I typically, when I do watch your videos, I like watching the unboxing ones, because I laugh every time that you just take the shit from inside, like the packaging, and you just kind of fucking throw it off to the side. And like that makes me laugh. And then, you'll be in the middle of a review, and all of a sudden like stuff will just fall on your table because your cat's up above knocking stuff around. It's like most people would edit that stuff out, but you're like, nah, just gonna leave all that in there.
Again, I'm just like, that made me giggle. It's staying.
That's good stuff.
Oh, Big Spoon, you're in the chat.
Anthony, we said dwarves like a half an hour ago. Where you been?
Anthony, if you would have shared a bed with him for the other 2 nights of Legions Con, maybe he wouldn't grown as famous as he has. So, just FYI.
Speaking of famous, what are some of your favorite toys from your childhood? Like lines or...
No, it's just thinking off the... Let's see. It's going to be some random ones, because I mean, like, I'm going to try to stay away from like He-Man and Ninja Turtles and things like that, because that's some of my favorite ones that like maybe just don't get talked about enough. Does anyone remember Attack Pack from it was Hot Wheels, I believe, or is Mattel, one of the two, where it was monster trucks that have where you like push on the back of the truck and it would like semi-transform into like a monster.
Yeah.
Yes. Those were fantastic. If you go back and like watch the commercials, they're all like puppets, and they're like really well done, like meaty, weird puppet trucks. Go watch the commercials. It's totally worth your time. Attack Pack. What else? What was another one I really loved?
So
I'm blanking on
did you like, if you liked that, did you also like Transformers and like Mask and stuff like that?
I was big into Transformers, like the original, and then also like Beast Wars was at the time for me. So like I watched a lot of Beast Wars and had like a bunch of Beast Wars figures. Oh my god, that animation does not hold up.
Really, I love that
what else?
cartoon. I haven't watched it in many
Oh,
years, but
the
yeah.
storyline's fantastic. But going back and watching like that early CGI, it's just
Oh
like
yeah, pretty bad, huh?
as a kid, it was like you're right up in it. It was like, oh, this is larger than life. But now it's
Mm.
like you're backed out some. You're like, I see I see how many polygons are on that tree, and I see where it's just kind of randomly propagated in there, and it's like the story's great. Thank God for the story. I'm blanking on something. Did you guys ever hear of Snailians?
Nope.
I can't say that I have.
Bargain bin Billy.
Right around the time of Pogs and stuff like that, or there's like the rubber bounce cups where you kind of like invert it and then it would just like explode and bounce up.
Mm-hmm.
They had that in there, and it had where you put like this weird alien tick or something inside and it would shoot out, and then they had like little not even like 3.75 figures, but they were like these little semi-snail shaped men that wore armor, and they were all named after like presidents that were on change because it was theirs. It was weird. I've gone off on a tangent with that. Predator, Kinder Predator was fantastic. Kinder Aliens were fantastic. I had a bunch of those from garage sales.
Okay.
I don't think I could pull any more like random lines out of my butt right now.
Please don't.
All the Power Ranger monsters again, like when they first came out. Oh, those were fantastic. I had Eye Guy. I had there was a bee one that was fantastic. I wish they would go ahead and make one for the Lightning collection. I'd buy that bee. I'd buy 5 of that bee in a second.
Wow. So even today, like you're just collecting all kinds of stuff. Like from what you said, like how do you display this stuff? Like what is your? I'm not asking for a tour or anything, but like, do you have certain sections devoted to certain things, or do you only display certain things and everything else kind of stays in totes or something, or what does it look like?
It's a little bit with totes. At least by my desk, I have 3 shelves right here, and I need to put like some risers on there for like my Mythic Legions. I need to finish that to get them all out. I have a mirrored set. You can kind of see over here that I have my head rack and then some random McFarlane stuff. Just whatever fits where is kind of how it goes. I have a DVD rack that has it's more like a book DVD bookcase, and I have like a bunch of Marvel Legends. I try to keep them semi-segregated some, but I do have like a ton of stuff in totes. I do. It's oof. It's oof. The hardest thing is displaying stuff, even like in your workspace. Like I had where I cleaned this up earlier in the week, and it's already like filled with random stuff between like working on like custom eye guy paint, doing the reviews and stuff. I have figures kind of strewn from that. Display is hard. Hard. I think the most organized mine of my display is totes my goats. Got that right. I have an old china cabinet, and I have 8 of my trolls in there lined up. And I want to have them up with like different. And I got 8 trolls in there, and then I got like a Freddy Krueger doll because I was like, let me put this somewhere before a cat tries to paw it with his sweater. Just whatever works. I wish there was an IKEA around here.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah. But
yeah,
that's what works
meatballs.
for me.
Go ahead. What's that?
I said you craving some Swedish meatballs.
Heck yeah. I just don't want to drive.
I've been
7 hours.
I've been to IKEA like 4 or 5 times, and it was all pretty much during COVID, and they did not have the Swedish meatballs, so I've never tried them. I hear good things, but I've never tried them.
That's depressing.
I know. It's sad.
I was at IKEA once. I had them, and I've never gone back.
Really? So not impressed.
No.
Doesn't have the Jesse seal of approval.
No.
Did they not have enough mayo? Is that what the problem was? Or
come on.
Yeah, okay. I just figured I'd check.
Trying to get me to throw up on screen.
Yeah, I gotta get that taste out of my mouth.
Yeah, for collecting, like I've got a setup in my garage where I've got a lot of vintage stuff.
I've seen it in
And
person.
yeah, that's true. And then I've got like some updated stuff from vintage lines in there. But that's kind of like where anything that's not either Mondo Masters or Mythic Legion kind of it like I open it, I display it, I see it for a little bit, and then it eventually goes to the garage. So, I try not to collect too many different lines because I don't have a whole lot of extra space out there now. So that, right now it's mostly Mondo and just the Mythics, but my big dilemma right now is I keep seeing these cosmic reveals. And I'm like, man, I'm going to have to like shrink my Mythic collection and try to make more room for Cosmic because I've got 2 Detolfs in the garage that are not built yet, just dedicated for, they're just going to be for Cosmic. And I'm seeing these reviews and I'm like, man, I don't know that 2 Detolfs is enough. I'm going to need to shrink some of this to make room for Cosmic.
Yeah, because we're 2 books in, and then we got a pre-order coming at the end of the month for more Cosmic, and doing customs in there. Oh, you're looking at like 3 Detolfs minimum already.
Yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts on the Cosmic? Are you a Cosmic guy, Billy, or are you more Mythic, or even half and half? What's your thoughts?
Well, at least right now, until I get them in hand, I'm definitely more Mythic. But like when they get there, like, what is it, like they're hand candy,
Mm-hmm.
So once I get to mess with them and get like to popping and swapping them some and stuff, I'm probably going to be half and half, especially because I don't know if y'all been reading them, but like the short stories they're putting out for like each kind of character coming in this like next wave it's world building so much. Like the bios for Mythic have where they short paragraph, maybe a little bit longer paragraph, and like sometimes pull from different figures a little bit is wonderful. But having like a short story dedicated to a character, just showing like a scenario they're in, or just like a little bit of like how they are, it's building me up. Next wave, I'm definitely going all in, and I'm like, I need some more red jets already. And
it kind of reminds me. It kind of reminds me of like the mini comics and the old Masters of the Universe toys and stuff like that. Like it's just a little bit more information about that character. Whereas it felt like with Mythics, it felt like they put a little blurb out there, but then now with the book, they're trying to go back and like piece all that story together. But with Cosmic, it's like they're building that story as they go. And yeah, it's really fun for sure.
I like that.
And I can't wait for that book.
Yeah.
I like with these first 2 short stories with the pilot, the Tusk pilot and Kalian Sharn, whatever, that they like tie right into each other. It's like you're through the pilot's perspective for the first one, and then it just switches over to her for the next segment. So I'm wondering if the next character is maybe the person she was talking to on the other end of her communication or something, or because there wasn't an who knows, we'll see. But I like how at least with those 2 they've just gone right back to back.
Yeah. And I mean, am I the only one that looks at that pilot and goes, I'm gonna need an extra one of those to make an Iron Man out of? Like, did you take that head off of there? Like, it's got the little the chest vent that kind of looks like, and I think those from what I saw with my Sentry test shot, like that part pops out. So you could easily put like some sort of Iron Man something in there and then put a new head on that thing and some gold trim on some of the armor. That's a pretty quick Iron Man right there.
Yeah. He is that like hot rod red.
Oh yeah. It looks pretty awesome. And then the female, what's her name again?
I believe it's Kalian Sharn.
Yeah. I like the unhelmeted head, but it's too similar to what we've already got. But the helmeted head reminds me of like those helmets from the mask figures where you kind of had those little figures where so they just had the 5 points of articulation, but they had those cool helmets that popped on their heads, and that looks just like it. Like I looked at that and I'm like, it's like a cross between Boba Fett and mask. Like throw those together, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm sold. So
she fits that kind of like mercenary bounty hunter look to like a space character, and it's wonderful. And even I think I can't remember if it was C. Jessamine posted it or it was Four Horsemen just posted C. Jessamine's picture of where it was the it's not a shawl, but like the kind of cape, and that it fits in there with, and it's just like it's big enough that you can use all these crazy heads and use that on other figures. I'm just like, oh, that's easily 2 right there of her.
Yep.
Yeah, as far as Cosmic goes, the female characters in this line are the ones that have my attention the most. The face paint apps on them are amazing. I know that's the Thrace head repainted for Kalian, but I think with that alien look to it, it just really makes it feel like a completely different character enough for me. And yeah, that other helmet is cool, and the mask thing is so cool.
What I would say is the 2 female characters, well, the 2 that are similar, the Ziri and this new one, they both are cool looking, but most of the look is from the soft goods, which is, it's fine. I mean, like when you get them, they're going to look great and you're going to want to pose it. And when I had my Ziri test shot, it looked awesome, but it's mostly the soft goods. So from a customizing standpoint, there's not a lot of parts there to work with that it's like, oh, I'm going to do this and that with that kind of thing. So I'm not as excited from a customizing standpoint for the females. But I do think they look great. The ones that for as a customizer get me excited are the ones that are the more basic, like the sentries, the science officers, the stuff where it's like, I'm going to do a head swap, I'm going to paint some parts, and this is like a totally different figure, kind of thing.
Those figures you can go in and you can like hit those details and make them pop.
Yeah, because we were talking with a few people this weekend, but it's like some of the more recent lines, some of the figures have been so unique and so amazing that it's going to be hard to customize them and have them not look like the figure they're supposed to be, So it's like there's been in a few of the waves recently, there's been some figures where it's like, this is awesome, I love it, but I only need one. And then there's another figure where it's like, this is not as awesome, but it's got a lot of potential and I need 12. So
you did order like 12 of that one.
Yeah.
I think part of the reason they look the same is because I think they're from the same planet. I think they're both, what is it? Zuvans.
And Trevor makes a good point. He says you can dye soft goods. That's true. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot more customizing techniques as we get more of the soft goods in hand, where people are going to be doing different things, cutting them up, dyeing them, things like that. So yeah, I'm sure that we'll.
I have an excellent on my channel.
Yeah. So I'm sure we're going to see a lot more of that as we go. Even just dirtying stuff up, I'm sure we'll see some of that as well.
Oh yeah.
So.
Like I can't wait to get one of the red jets and turn him into a space pirate, and that's gonna have to grind him up, give him some more extra marking, stuff like that. Just fiddle with him.
So I saw the announcement on the stuff that had shipped. So they got all the Legions Con figures out. They got the Trolls out, and they're starting on All Stars. Any of those that you've already gotten, Billy, whether it's the Legions Con figures, the Trolls that you want to talk about, or anything that you're excited to get for the All Stars that's coming here soon?
I got to remember what I ordered for the All Stars, because I didn't do just straight one all in. I picked up some of the other characters down after the pre-order off of like Big Bad Toy Store at the time, I believe. I just got my Legion Cons figures in. I haven't had a chance to even like open them up. They came in like yesterday, and like I cracked open the box and counted them up. Like, oh, they did it good. I'm like, I didn't get a fun message written in here. I'm not cool like Cullen. But still waiting on the heads. I'm excited to take my Furious 4 figures, put 2 aside, then pop the rest apart just to like farm out the parts where I can be like, okay, you get like a new updated belt, you get some hands, things like that, make some Fury Clan stuff. I'm excited to get. I know I ordered like a Dubin. I want a Dubin. I want him in hand. I want to see how gray he is.
Looking at
Very
Trevor.
gray apparently, but like
you're looking at Trevor.
maybe I'm looking at Trevor. I was like, I thought he had like, at least I thought it was like a gunmetal gray or like that. What's the word for it? Blue steel. Think just that kind of look to it, but it's a grayer color. Now I'm just like, well, I'm just gonna thin out some blue and put it over there now, and I'll have blue.
I'll be honest, I don't really care about the color of Dubon. I like the look, the cloak that goes over the shoulder pads with the hood, the way that the figure looks like I didn't really care what the colors were going to be. I liked the overall look. So,
short beard.
Yeah. I mean, the pictures that Trevor took, I think look great. The ones that I've seen in hand, I think look great. They do look a little bit different. I don't know if that's from the factory or from lighting on the people that have them in hand that, it looks a little bit different under their lighting. But I think either set looks great. So I have no problem with that, especially for, a $37 figure and, you get this amazing look and a couple extra hands and all this kind of stuff. So, I mean, I'm definitely not going to complain about it. So,
well, I'm going to throw this out
I'm
there.
Also excited for Swig.
What's that? Swig?
Yeah, I'm excited for Swig. God, I can't wait for that. Just
did I see crazy. He's got like an extra hole in his back, like up top?
Yeah, because he has it's the Goblin Legion Builder body on there, and that body has like the collar that you can add on to it.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I didn't realize that's what that was. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can put a crazy collar on if you want to.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was like, I wonder what that hole's for, but yeah, that makes sense because it's the collar that goes in there. What about you, Jesse? Anything that you're excited for the All-Stars or from the Trolls or Legions figures?
I didn't get any of the. I mean, I got the ones at Legions Con while I was there. I didn't order any of the singles, but I did do pre-order on most of the All-Star wave. There's a couple I couldn't do an all-in at the time, but I found a local. There's 2 people that are relatively local to me that are approved retailers. So whatever I don't get on pre-order going forward, I'll probably hit those guys up for it. But I'm really excited about all the All-Stars. I think are really cool. I love how many new figures are in there. The horse, even though I know it's just a repaint, is probably the one I'm most excited for. I think.
Well, let me know because I'm going to have extras that I need to get rid of.
Oh, you got extra horses.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I bought them at the time thinking, there's not many horses out right now. I'm going to get extra horses for trade bait. And then they can continue to put out another 15 horses or whatever it is. So
there's only been two horses since this one, right?
Yeah, I know. I just feel like I got way too many. And also, Trevor, you can't use big words that we don't know. Like I don't. Yeah.
The consternation is ridiculous.
That's when you eat too much cheese, right?
I think that's when it's my time of the month. I don't know.
All right.
Trevor,
moving on.
Yeah, Trevor, you're gonna have to dumb that down for us a little bit. So
yeah, get that word off screen.
J Max says. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, so I'm really excited for the horse. I'm excited to get something that's not a builder wave, because the only thing I gotten on pre-order so far were a couple of the deluxe builders that I got on pre-order. So I know it's not an all-in, so I don't know if that qualifies me for a Mythic Pizza, but I'll be doing my own unboxing live stream or something probably when those come in, which means I can't open them at work, which I usually do, but lunch is only 30 minutes, so I won't get
enough time.
I won't get more than one figure out of the box in 30 minutes. So
You can do Mythic Pizza anytime you want, Jesse. I will tell you, alternating between opening a figure and eating a slice of pizza is probably the best thing in the world, regardless of whether it's
It
an
really
all-in or
is.
not.
I will probably eat a piece of pizza and then forget about the pizza.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think
Cold
Dubon
pizza's good
looks
pizza
really.
too.
I disagree with you on that.
Pizza's better than no pizza. Just saying.
I mean, I can't eat cold pizza. I mean, I can. I don't like it. Toaster. But I like if the pictures I'm seeing of Dubon are more of a gray, whitish colors as opposed to like the more blue look. I actually like that more, especially since he's like a Northern Ranger. I really like that look. I think I like the story of how he and Boreas kind of like. Boreas kind of feels a little bit like Shadowfax to me, where he's like they're
true.
almost magical horses that they're oh, there you go. All right,
And
zombie.
that might be why Boreas is so cool, because it's actually a tribute for Eric Boreas. And they haven't said that, but I'm gonna go with it at this point. Just an update. Webster's defines consternation as feeling of anxiety or dismay. Typically, it's something unexpected.
Oh,
So
so
there
just
you go.
daily life for me.
Yeah. So just because something is unexpected, don't feel anxiety or dismay. Just enjoy it for what it is. And to Jesse's point, if it has a little bit different look, think about all the possibilities that new look gives you that you weren't even expecting.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
Exactly.
Because I thought the colors, like that bluish tint, I thought was kind of cool, but then when I saw the other ones that were different, I'm like, oh, that actually works a lot better for what his story is in my mind. From him being like a ranger and everything, and like
and
someone
for popping
commented,
and swapping.
Yeah. And someone commented earlier, I mean, it's like that black and blue dress from like 15 years ago,
Yeah, it's classic. So used on anything for any occasion, any event. I do think that the colors that I've seen so far, and once again, don't know what it's going to look like in hand, but just from the pictures I've seen, are much more customizing friendly than what the original colors of Dubon were. I think they were super unique, and now it's more like, okay, I can use these parts now without having to paint them in this type of way. So I'm excited about that kind of thing. And well, update from Trevor. He says everybody cancel their orders now. So
no, I'm very much looking forward to Dubon. He's probably my second.
I will say the posts that I've seen, there's at least as many people excited for the colors that they're seeing than there are people that are disappointed. So it's at least half and half, if not, more people excited, in my opinion. So
at the time I didn't see any disappointed ones, but I was just like, it's different. I like how it's like, it's that, like, even with like the arms and like the cloth plastic parts, where it's like a thermal. I like that. I wasn't expecting it, but I like that.
Yeah, I like any of those new cloth arms and legs. Those are so cool. That's why I was so big on the Furious 4, because you get those parts. You get with the Praetorian one, you get the hooves and the feet. You get all these. It's just so loaded with so many different accessories and stuff. But
that's
so much potential.
Go ahead.
That's the thing for me. I think I don't know if it was on here. I've said it before, but I like that we're getting more leather and soft good like arms and legs and stuff, because I feel you've got so many knights that are in like full plate mail or heavy armor. It's like that's probably not what you've got a couple of those guys on your battlefield, on your side. I like that. Like seeing more of these things makes me want to Legion build the lower armor stuff more, because that's where you're going to have like 20 archers lined up with like like studded leather armor instead of the full plate mail and stuff.
Yeah, I want to.
You're going to have
Go ahead.
Go ahead. If you watched Game of Thrones before it turned into like a a tank of like turds, like Braun. Braun doesn't wear the full plate mail. He has where he just wears where he can move in, so he can stick and stab. And I'm just like, that's it. That's the guy you're getting right there. That's the guy you can build and put into Mythos now.
Yeah, I'm getting more excited for Necronominus wave. I want to get one of those Maxiliuses. I think the first thing I'm going to do, even while I'm probably doing my Mythic Pizza, I'm going to open one of those Maxiliuses first. I'm going to put them in the kitchen and have one of my kids stir them around in some red dye and get a naked Travis figure, naked Pelvicus, right off the bat while I'm eating pizza and open up the rest of my figures. So
yes, exactly that.
And then I'll throw them in the cauldron with just the bones, no armor whatsoever. So, yep.
I got the cauldron waiting for it. I need a naked one though. It has to be a naked Pelvicus.
Right now I've got my Pelvicus in there with the armor, and it's just, I mean, it's okay, it's cool, but yeah, I need the all bone Maxilius to make it into a true Pelvicus. So
you got to have him posed up like he's like really uncomfortable, going like, "Oh man, this armor, it's so heavy, it's weighing me down."
One figure that we haven't really talked a lot that got a lot of attention during All Stars, and I'm looking forward to, is that Xylernian Guard. What are you guys' thoughts on that figure? And did you order some? Are you looking forward to it?
Yes,
I have at least 2 of them.
I have one on order because I accidentally ordered the headset and the head pack instead of a second one. I didn't adjust my cart properly. But again, local guys, so I'll hopefully pick up a couple more. But
gotcha.
Xylona is my force. So between Xylona and skeleton stuff, they're going to be my biggest armies. Well, orcs and goblins too, I guess.
And do you expect to use it as is, Jesse, or are you looking to do like a head swap or anything like that?
Well, since it comes with the 2 faceplates or the 2 alternate heads, like I'll have at least 2 as is. And then if I get more down the road, because like they're the outpost guards, so they're like on the the watch posts and stuff. So probably do some up to different skin tones, or even different races and stuff to just kind of pull in that diversity that is Xylona's flock.
Cool. What about you, Billy?
Like
you said you got a couple. I
got a couple of those. I'm excited to see what people put out third part, like for 3D printing wise. And we'll be looking at all of them tomorrow night on Legions Lounge. Plug.
Sweet.
Gotcha, Nate. Just like because it has that flip up visor. I'm excited to see like who makes like a flip up visor first for like a 3D wise, just a like slap on there, do a little bit of difference there. And then also with the retailer wave right now, it's still going on, still pre-ordered right there. I think retailer wave is like a whole month of like that for the pre-order, but I mean still have some places that have extra. The I can't remember the name of it, but the kind of golden elf in that one kind of adds to that like
Sir Lige
variety and Xylon. Yeah.
Sir Lige or Sir, yeah.
Hard to pronounce name, yeah.
Yeah, it's I like because reading that story, the bio on him, those troops are kind of like meshed between, the army of Leodicius and Xylona's flock. They like kind of dual patrol the border, between those. So I like that it's two of the factions kind of working together in that armor set.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that we're getting those shields now with the faction logos and stuff. That we got the Gorgo, we got the one with Attila. Now we're getting this Xylonian Guard. I can't wait to get the other faction. I mean, I'm assuming that they're going to do the other faction logos since they've already started down that path. And it looks like from what we've seen with the Necronominus wave, that shield has the capability to just kind of pop those plates in there. So you would think that we would get the other logos as well. So I'm excited to see what that looks like also.
I'm excited to get those in hand and mess with those. Just with the adjusted articulation of the Knights and Necronominus. it makes me very hopeful because like just where it's like he got like I think some of the pictures of the night had where like it got in real close to the chest with like doing like 2-hand there and just having where it's like I call it like the half bean on the arm, like where it's like a half bean. I'm excited to see what they do when they do something for like House of the Noble Bear, because I think it's all speculation. I love speculating. Is I feel like maybe they'll do that with like the bear torsos or like the bear arm parts and stuff. They'll have where they kind of just add a little bit of bump there just to improve the range of movement there and still have where it keeps with the sculpt. I wouldn't put it past them. It's everything's always getting better with these figures, and I'm just always look forward to everything at this point.
Yeah, and I like that on those figures, they also added the soft goods over it. You know, I'm not usually the hugest soft goods guy, but I think it kind of covers up that small torso and the way that they had to manufacture it to get that range of motion. It covers it up to where it doesn't look super skinny or like an emaciated, look. It still looks like it's a buff knight figure while getting that range of motion. So I think that was a really smart move. And I actually hope we see more of that stuff because I think that's a really cool look on there. So let's see. We got people happy with your cat because your cat keeps chiming in every now and then. Did get an update from Nate. He says that Trevor actually does have the figures in hand. So they will be looking at them tomorrow night. So
I think Hedgehog said he got either Hedgehog or Bill said they got their figures today too.
Oh, cool.
Earlier.
So hopefully
I saw Bill with
start seeing those. Let's see.
I'll say I just blanked out. JG's talking about the color. Seeing them in person at G-Con, it looked really good. The plastic to soft goods, like I thought they matched up pretty good, at least on the Necronominus stuff, and the All Stars 5 that they've had in the displays. I think looked really nice, like that burgundy on Lady Averona into her torso and stuff. I thought it matched really well.
Yeah, I think that the toughest one will probably be the what's that one's name? The
Adalric.
Yes, I think that's going to probably be the most difficult one because they're, painting that torso to match the soft goods with it, and so that one's probably going to be the most difficult one. But the rest of them, I think, are probably going to be pretty easy for them to do for the most part. So, okay, and then they also, so they threw out those updates. They had the the Legion Con figures are all shipped out. Trolls are all shipped out. All Stars are starting to be shipped out now. And then there's some fairy tale about Tactics being soon. So I don't believe any of that. But we'll see. We'll see.
And you really don't like horses. You're beating a dead one right now.
We'll see. We'll see if we ever get Tactics figures.
Shows up and tells the top.
You're going to get them in hand, and you're going to deny they exist.
Nope. I will be the happiest person in the world.
This isn't real. I'm hallucinating. I've died and gone to heaven.
I actually.
You should be like, they just repainted these orcs and sent them out to me. This is the Tactics figures.
I actually went back and looked at one of the first messages that I sent Walter after I joined in the Cabal, and I was all excited about how I just jumped into the Kickstarter for the Tactics wave and ordered all this stuff and can't wait for it to come in. and that was like 2 weeks after I joined the Cabal, and here now I've received many other waves from Mythic Legions and still no Tactics, but I will be the happiest guy in the world when they come in because I look forward to those orcs and the elves and all the different accessories they come with. I think they're amazing. I just can't wait till they get here. So yeah, you'd think I
can't wait to get here either. I have when they first did the Tactics Kickstarter way back when. the faction coins like got me super excited, and I was just like, oh, I need to get this, and I get like a piece of wood and like Dremel out like the holes to put the coins in and do like a shadow box with a Mythos map and all of that. And I'm just like, man, I could have built that by now and been ready.
The faction coins, the maps, then the figures with all the different accessories. I mean, those orcs come with like 4 heads. The elves come with all those extra parts. And like, when was the last time that we just had regular elves available to us? Like, it's been forever. So, you
guys would be sadly disappointed in my
Hacksaw Jim Duggan,
my wrestling attempts.
I'm bringing you a 2x4 for Legions Con. Just gonna have you walk around with.
Yeah.
I don't want to accidentally knock someone out.
We'll get a small 2x4.
Well, I'll knock myself out. Like, no. Like
2023 Jesse will be just as popular and infamous as 2022 Billy Beige.
No.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Chance. There you go.
The man behind the curtain.
So, speaking of which, Legions Con this past year, let's talk a little bit about your experience at Legions Con, what you thought. I know you were helping out Wolf King Custom. You participated, you joined in a couple of the breakout sessions, the hangout afterwards and stuff. And I know this year you're trying to drag Zombie with you, which we talked to him about a little bit last week. So talk about last year's Legions Con and what you're expecting for this year's.
Last year's Legions Con, you had the first person experience of Billy Beige there. It was something. It was like there was a lot of like lack of sleep, adrenaline,
goblin wine,
a fair amount of goblin wine, and I'm going to blame that still on goblin wine. Does not mix with Fireball. Goblins and Fireballs do not go together. Don't do it.
Yeah, and plastic crack just does something to us.
Yeah, and plastic crack.
Yeah, and plastic crack was, man, it was amazing. But I think between like doing like I missed out on a bunch of the breakout sessions there. I had where I was like running around a bunch doing some Instagram stuff. But like being able to be there for like the live show of the My Wife Is Gonna Kill Me for at least for like 15 minutes was like fantastic.
Well, and you got to go to the studio too. What about that? Like, what were your thoughts on the studio?
The studio, it was like walking into like everything that I enjoy artistically. Growing up with some McFarlane figures and just seeing like some of the work there and all the other stuff they've worked on just on display on this, like it was like a trophy room of accomplishments. I'm just like, it was so wonderful. And then being like, oh, this is where Cameron and Joe work. Look at this is, oh, look, they listen to the Magic Tavern too. Just seeing all the offices, seeing like the prop pump company that's like, I guess they meshed together there and walking through all that. That was amazing. Being there for G-Con and just the excitement in the room as like each reveal kept building and building, and you're just like, whoa, they just did Gideon Heavensbring. You think he'd be like one of the last figures they do for like being like, oh yeah, the uproar. It's like, no, everything else like past that had where it kept building even after that. Like even after the 2.0, it's like, wow. And seeing the prototype figures in person right there as they would bring them down and you could like take pictures of them and stuff. It was just, it was mind blowing. It was mind blowing. For Legions Con this year, I really look forward to. I'm trying to get a certain someone up there this year. I'm trying to. We're kicking and screaming.
He's watching. We told him.
I got a big trunk.
Yeah, we told him to watch this week just in case you revealed your kidnapping plans.
Oh yeah, he's out there. He's in the chat.
Yeah, he knows now. Crap. It's a comfortable trunk. I throw snacks in there.
So for those that haven't done the intern experience, we know that they will most likely be doing a lottery system again, just like they did last year. Which obviously you would recommend it to folks, but what would you say to somebody that's kind of on the fence on whether to do the intern for a day or not, or to put their name in the hat?
Put your name in the hat, regardless whether if you're going to Legions Con, put your name in the hat. It's an extra day or two. It's worth it just to hang out with your fellow people, your fellow caballers, your fellow collectors. Just to have that experience there, to get to hang out in a semi-intimate area with, be like, yeah, there's CB, and you get a fist bump from CB, and see Bill, just see Joe running around like this, like full of energy. That man just is
yeah.
He goes.
Well, and like even just sitting there for an hour watching Eric Treadaway sculpt and being able to bounce questions off of him as he takes this ball of clay and turns it into like this amazing head that you're like, holy crap, I would buy that within like an hour. Yeah,
Hedgehogs.
That was amazing. To hit.
Curb the odds right there.
Trying to limit the amount of people putting in for it. Yeah,
it was amazing, and he did that was that 4 times that day with 4 different kind of prompts from people, and all of them were like acknowledging, but like the Fuzz Monk Dragon Rider, if that does not get used,
he doubled down too. Tell your friends also not to put their names in. Spread the word. Nobody put your name in.
That female Fuzz Monk head, I need that. Even if there's not a whole figure attached to it, I need that head.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That sounds weird out of context.
But I think for me, the intern event was so special because everybody there is just super nice. And they're not like, I mean, obviously there's figures that they know that are planned for down the road or whatever that they can't reveal. But other than that, like in terms of their techniques, they're not keeping secrets. Like Eric is answering questions on sculpting and telling people how he thinks about things and how he does things. Trevor's giving tips on how he uses lighting and how he sets up certain background scenes and stuff like that. Nate Barch is talking about the box art and how he puts things together. You talk to Cameron and Sherry, and they're giving you tips on what they do for painting. And it's, so if you're a customizer, if you even just love this toy line, it's just amazing to hear all the things that go into creating these figures that we all love. I think one of the things that I really enjoyed was how, when Eric was sculpting, he said that like when he's sculpting these things, he kind of has a vision for how they should look color wise. And sometimes he'll even add colors into the sculpt when he sends them off to the painters. But if they look at it and think, I could paint it a different way and I think it'll look a little bit better, they have the autonomy to do that, to be creative. It's not a lot of the work environments that most of us are in, it's, your boss dictates stuff to you and you dictate stuff to somebody else, and it has to be that way. And it's not that there. It's a very, they collaborate and work together, and everybody has the artistic ability to, put this stuff together, and they accept one another's art, and it's just a real collaborative experience. And it was something else to see for sure.
For sure. I actually like listening to Steve's interview tape for MesquiCon, and where he got to like interview Jim. As much as like Jim led us around like the whole studio at intern for the day, showed us everything. I wish he got to sit down and actually just talk about the business side of running a toy business like that. Just him and CB talk about it, or just him talk about it. I would have loved that for like half an hour, just hearing like his thoughts, his comments on that. I mean, like there's a little bit with it in the interview.
Mhm.
My wife is going to kill me interview that came out today. There's a little bit on there, but he sounds like a wealth of knowledge with dealing with stuff and everything like that, and just how the business works too is like super interesting.
Well, and Jim's one of those guys that he's not as active in, whether it's social media, whether it's, the interviews and YouTubes and stuff like that. Like, he's not the one that's out front talking a lot, but he's an awesome guy. And yeah, when you get him talking, and if you are in that My Wife Is Going to Kill Me Patreon group, actually, I think they just put it out as a regular episode, so you can just listen to it on any podcast part. It's really good stuff, and he kind of talks about how they got their start, how Mattel kind of helped them out at the beginning, which is something that Mattel has not done for any other company and before or since. So I thought that was kind of neat. And yeah, it was good to hear kind of Jim's side on things, because he doesn't really do a whole lot of interviews. So
we're gonna get him on here eventually.
Well,
it's
there
gonna
you
happen.
go.
I'm
gonna make it happen. I will.
That man likes one of my Instagram posts. I'm like, I've done something right with my life.
Yeah, that's how I feel when I'm like, oh, it's just like that's the closest thing. Like, I didn't care about getting a gold star in high school, or not high school, elementary school or whatever. But yeah, when Jim likes a post I've shared, especially if it's not blatantly a Four Horsemen post, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, and
the approval I've always.
Yeah, so I think just being around all those folks, like, even when we were having lunch at the intern, and like, folks are just kind of gathered around the room and eating pizza and just like talking, and you're just seeing these people that you look to as like icons of the business, and they're just sitting around and bullshitting and eating pizza with everybody else. It's like, wow, they eat pizza, and they drink water bottles, like,
yeah,
whatever. They're just like normal people.
Cameron walking by with like a drive-by insult to Sean while we're sitting there talking about, he's just like, does like an over the hand thing through the break room. And you were talking about how welcoming, like, when you were there, I mean, obviously you didn't feel like you were an employee working there, but you felt welcome. It was, everything about it was like, it didn't feel like you were looking at it through like the ride aspect of Jurassic Park, where you see the scientists in the screen and you feel like you got led right in there from the beginning. And it was so cool, and just how relaxed and comfortable everybody was, like, just talking and sharing. Sherry was great. I got to talk. I was in her room for the painting session, and it's just cool. It's just such a cool thing. So yes, despite what Hedgehog and the others are saying, if you get the chance to do, I'll just say it this way: if you get the chance to do intern, jump on it, do it. It's definitely worth it. It's so much fun, and the people you get to hang out with, like the guys are saying, with from all over the country, and even some people from around the world that make it to that are just really fun to get to spend time with them as well.
Well, and I'll even go a step further, which is going to probably make Hedgehog even more upset. But I would say find a buddy. If you are not bringing somebody with you to Legions Con, if you're not going with a spouse or something like that, that you would, want to take with you to that intern experience, find a buddy. Me and Billy this past year, we both put in for the lottery. Said whoever wins it, the other one's going to take it. So I ended up winning it, and I took Billy. Do that. Find another person in the cabal, both put in for it, and just kind of, plan on going together regardless of, who gets it. And if you both get it, then take two other people.
Exactly.
It's a great experience. To Jesse's point about, them welcoming you in and stuff, I know they put a lot of work in preparing this. And that's one of the reasons why Jeremy said they probably won't do more than just the one a year, because there's a lot of work to set it up and that kind of stuff. But it did not feel like a dog and pony show. It did not feel like you were seeing them at the way they want you to see them. You really were just walking into their normal working environment, and they're cracking jokes on each other, and they're having fun, and they're talking these things. And you could tell they really love what they do. So yeah, a really great experience. Hope that, some more people get to experience that next year. And Yeah, I think that should be great. So
Your second time Hedgehog,
going into it. Oop.
Hedgehog, if you've already gone once, you shouldn't be putting your name in again. At least I'm not going to be putting my name in for it for a couple of years at least. So
that's one less Hedgehog. Yeah, your odds went up.
I am not going to be putting in for it, but I think my son may be coming with us. He is working on becoming a neurosurgeon, so he is depending on what his rounds are. If he's in the right round where he can get off, then he's planning on coming. So I'm going to definitely encourage him, as well as my wife who's coming, to put in for intern, because I think that they would love the experience. But I myself will not be putting in for this year. But yeah, I think, if it's one of those things that if you can go, it's going to be fun. So, and go around the studio. Make sure to go to any of the coffee shops, like that. There's a Dunkin' Donuts stuff. You never know, you might get a job. That's how it worked for Cameron. So,
that was crazy.
Yeah, just go and get coffee around the studio, and they may just show up and say, "Hey, do you paint? Do you want to come over here and work?" So
yes, I do.
But carry your portfolio on you just in case.
Yeah,
no, you just pull up your Instagram, because Instagram is your portfolio.
Yeah. So if you're Joe Russo, you're screwed because you don't have an Instagram.
Right, because no one's going to look at your Facebook account.
I look like this. I could be your Top Gun.
That's true. Yeah, if you're Joe Russo, you don't need an Instagram. You just say, "Look at that! Like, come on, you don't want this beautiful thing working for you. Maybe you do one more button on the shirt."
He's like, I'm all the Tom Cruise with none of the Scientology.
Well, and he makes a good drink too. We had some fun in the lobby after the show and stuff, and Joe mixes a good drink. Yeah. So what about that experience? Like, when the show's over, everybody's hanging out in the lobby. You're getting to talk to all these folks that you've only seen online. What were your thoughts on all that, Billy?
I was like, man, like it's for the amount of drinking that was there or that was available. Mm-hmm. That was the most pleasant bunch of people I've ever been around.
Yeah.
Like, it's you would think, like, if one goes up, the rowdiness goes up. It's like, no, everyone was like super chill, respectful, cleaned up after themselves. It was wonderful. And then just meeting just random people I hadn't talked to yet, having talked to in the cabal even, mm-hmm. And just sitting with them, be like, okay, like, oh, these guys went to go grab pizza and stuff like that. It's like, well, let's just chill and talk till they come back. And it's like, yeah, it's like, this is what your favorite wave. This is the stuff that you're into. Let's go look at the awesome display over here. It was amazing.
Anthony makes a good point. And then at the end of each night, it was cleaned up. It was ready to go for the next day. We didn't leave a mess. We didn't. Yeah, it was a good group of folks. And to your point, even with there's some drinking, there was some partying, having a good time, but. And I know a lot of the story's been told several times about, Eric's kids and the chocolate bar karate chopping event. But I think, that shows a lot about this community, that they walk in, right? Eric walks in with his family, and, this guy's a sculpting god to a lot of us. And instead of the attention being on him, like, the attention went to his kids. And that moment became about his kids, and everybody in the room was having a good time and excited about it. So it was just a very good. It was. I said to Travis this weekend, it's like being around family, but like a family that you like. If you can imagine a family get together, but with people you like, that's what it is. So.
That's what, like, it's even better, bigger than a get together. It's like, what is it? It's not family vacation. It's like a family reunion.
Yeah.
People you don't get to see that often, or you just talk to and pass your shoot message. They're all there, and it's just like, oh, it's so good to see you and stuff like that. And then someone brings a giant chocolate bar and gives it to Ben Talmadge, and it's like, it's his size.
Yeah, the chocolate bar is normal sized. And then you got a big giant Kurzog behind you in the lobby and stuff. And it sounds like they're bringing another like a partner for him this year. So I don't know what that's going to be, but it sounds like they're working on something else big. So we'll see.
I think it's going to be cosmic related. It has to be a cosmic one this year because you have the
I would love to
Legion
see
Kurzog. You got to do a cosmic one.
I would love to see Vorga.
Yeah, I don't think so, man.
With that chain gun.
I don't think so.
I didn't say it was. I just said I would love to see that.
I would say my vote would be like not for what I want, but what I would expect. I would expect to see Kragnar with the arms and yeah. But
Kragnar would be good.
Thyggar would be a good one too. Yeah.
I mean, Thyggar is the most
it's brute scale.
Thyggar would be, I think, the most likely because they already have the head, like they had the Kurzog head for years.
Yeah, and
it's a dwarf statue.
Yeah, I think Kragnar with the arms would be that would be cool, massive and killer. So we'll see what they come up with, but it's going to be awesome no matter what. So
I hope it's either Canox Vol. I had to look up the names. I'm really bad with them.
Oh yeah.
Until I get them in hand, Canox Vol, or if they did Aeus. Sepetian. Yes, because he's so tall.
Yeah.
It's great. I would want it to be either of those two because one has a lot of like mechanical bits there, and it's a lot of different asymmetricalness to it. This is really interesting to the eye. And then it's the gray. It's like how cool it'd be is like there's a giant gray alien there, and just like, hey, come on down to Legions Con, guys. If you didn't make it on Saturday, come on Sunday and get your picture taken with this. You get all the UFO people there like that.
Bring it on down to Cosmicville.
I don't know why when you just said asymmetrical, my mind heard it as asymmetrical.
Yo, it's symmetrical,
Medio firepower.
The left does.
Oh, God, I love it. Yeah, I think we're making an assumption that would be cosmic related, but I think it's a pretty good assumption. I mean, the first wave of cosmic should definitely be out by then. I would say there's a good chance that book 2 is probably out by then too. And I think there's going to be a big cosmic focus on this Legions Con, if I had to guess. And if you're a cosmic person, hey, Kevin out there. This would probably be a really good year to be involved in intern, if I had to guess. So
for real,
yeah, I would say that would be a good.
What
good
if G-Con is a cosmic wave and not a mythic wave?
We don't know what it's going to be. I mean, there's a lot of assumptions out there that it may be like Sons of the Red Star and House of the Noble Bear, but I could see it being a cosmic wave too. They haven't said that it's going to be purely mythic related as far as I know. But yeah, it's good stuff. If you can go. If you need Billy to kidnap you so that you have an excuse for somebody, that why you had to go, let Billy know. He'll kidnap you along the way. And
I'll get a release form so you can't charge me with anything.
There you go.
Did you say a kidnapping release form?
Yep.
Well, I mean, like it'd be like a transportation between states form, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm going to kidnap you.
I mean, as long as
you're going to give me your permission to do it.
I don't think it counts as trafficking.
Gotcha.
So we don't get canceled off of YouTube. We're going to switch over to what are you watching lately, Billy?
Yeah.
I got sucked into a show last night on Hulu. I know everyone recommends like random animes and stuff, and a lot of nose get turned up at them. This one got me just because of the premise of it, and also I was having a few beers last night. It was called Gate. Gate on Hulu. Not my real dad.
I can
Damn
see
it,
him.
Zombie 13, you're fucking derailed me.
I can see him telling an officer that as you guys get pulled over.
It was like, this doesn't make any sense at all. But Gate on Hulu has where the premise is there is a that opens up in the middle of Japan, and this like fantasy army comes out with like semi-looking Roman soldiers, orcs, goblins, dragons, and starts attacking Japan. And the first episode is like dealing with that first initial wave and fighting back, and then it's just like, oh, we have this gate here. We need to go see what's going on to see if like this is going to happen again, what their intentions are, and find the person responsible for them, and put them in Japan jail. And it has where it's just all this. I wouldn't say it's modern because it didn't sit in with like the most modern weaponry and stuff, but basically the military going into this fantasy world and decimating like it with some of it, and it's like crazy. It's like, oh, this is like really OP, and then you get attacked by like a fire dragon, and it's just like, oh, there's stuff here that will actually hurt us, and it was super great for a drinking night. Let's say that.
Okay. All right. Have you seen that, Jesse? I have not.
I have not. I tried watching. Someone recommended Vinland Saga a couple weeks ago. I started watching that, and I couldn't get into it.
I watched.
I've started watching Vinland Saga.
Go ahead.
I started watching Vinland Saga. It definitely has where it's like 4 to 5 episodes of like world building, and then it gets into it. So it's like, you hate when you hear people say it's like, give it a couple episodes, you'll love it, and you're like, well, that's 2 hours of my life.
FYI, Eric
it's
already bought and sold this show, so it's been flipped. It was been fun, everybody. Just FYI. He already flipped us. He bought our show and flipped it for a profit, and we're done now. So
what are you talking about? He probably used this to get the PowerCon tributes in advance.
he scalped the show.
I'm completely lost. You're making more.
Eric gets it.
Eric knows what he is.
Yeah.
What do you call it? More. You're making more Roadhouse references here. I'm totally lost.
Well, I started Vinland Saga as well. I made it like halfway through the first episode, and it was like late at night, and I fell asleep. And I just have so much stuff that I'm watching right now that I haven't been able to get back to it, but I do plan to get back to it.
It's the animation for me. The story is interesting.
Yeah.
I have a hard time listening to English voices on anime because the speed is so different, and that's a me thing. I'm not saying the show's bad. That's a me problem. Like,
you're a subtitles guy.
What?
You're a subtitles guy. You read the original Japanese and then read the subtitles, so it has where it's like that.
I'll give that a shot. Which just is.
Well, I don't know
if for something in Norse, Nordic setting, that would really throw me off, because it's like a Viking story. But I'll maybe, again, like Curtis, you were saying, there's so much stuff I want to work on and do that, like I can't have a TV show on while I'm eating. Like,
yeah, unless I've already seen it, like sure. On the trip up to Muskegon and back, I listened to House of Dragon like all the way through again, which I've cool. I've already seen that. I love that season. So obviously I'm driving, so I can't watch it. that would be quite dangerous. But I listened to it the whole way up there and the whole way back, and it passed time. So it's one of those, like you said, if I'm watching a series that I haven't seen, I kind of need to pay attention and not be doing other things. So I need to make sure that I have time for it. And I'm trying to get through Last Kingdom right now. I was, for another show, I was watching the Harley Quinn series. which I mostly made it through before having to give up. And so yeah, and then obviously Last of Us going on right now. I think the last episode was tonight, right, for the series finale or season finale.
I think so.
So we'll have to check that out later. But yeah, there's just a lot of good stuff on. Mando's back, so yeah, that's pretty awesome. Best Star Wars show because it's way better than Andor for Nate Strong, who I see is still in the chat. So
did you ever give Vox Machina a try or a chance?
Vox Machina, I did give it a chance. I have not gone back to it yet. That's another one that's on the go back to list.
I think because we've talked about your qualls with the first season or first couple episodes there. The second season has where it's like it's tops it. It tops it with the action adventure and not the stuff that you were kind of coming down on, bud.
Gotcha.
So
it's I'm not opposed to going back to it. It's just I got other things that I want to work through first. So I really got into this Viking kick, went through Vikings Valhalla, then the regular Viking series, then I started Last Kingdom. So want to get through that. Probably will go back to Vinland Saga and try to work through that, and then after that, see what else I kind of add to the equation.
I got to bring this back in because I don't get to talk to a lot of people who have seen this movie. Have either of you guys watched The Messenger, the Joan of Arc story?
Mm-mm.
I think I'm aware of it. I haven't watched it.
Is that a series or
It's a movie. It came out. It was directed by I want to say it's Luc Besson, the same guy that did Fifth Element.
Mm-hmm.
It's Mia Jovovich as Joan of Arc. It's a rough movie. There's some rough subject matter in the movie. Just going into it, so just be aware. But it came out in '99. I remember going to see it because I loved big historical epics. It's a really cool movie. I don't want to spoil it for JG there, but there's parts where it gets to, because the hope this doesn't spoil anything. Historically speaking, she's known for being burned at the stake for being a heretic.
Mm-hmm.
And then 500 years later, she's canonized as a saint.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, what happened? So I don't want to get all like religious and preachy here, but it's just a really interesting. It's a really good movie. There's some awesome armor. Some of the knights she fights with have awesome armor sets. They're all these like big burly French guys, and it's so good. It's such a good movie. Like it's up there with Braveheart for me as far as like historical stuff. And when she goes like the trial and stuff that leads to the burning at the stake, a lot of her dialogue is taken from the actual court manuscripts, and it's weird how modern thinking her view of religion was at the time compared to what the powers that be were. Anyway, I just saw that. I almost never see anyone bring that up, so I got really excited. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I agree with David. You had me at Mila Jovovich, so I'm good.
She does cut her hair off, and she's got like the boy, like the Dutch boy haircut.
No, I just think that she's great. Like this
is one of her best performances in my opinion.
Gotcha.
She's almost crazy in this movie.
And apparently you had Hedgehog at big burly French guys. So
like if you've seen if you've seen The Patriot with Mel Gibson, the guy that was the French commander that was working with him, he's in it. Did we talk about Brotherhood of the Wolf?
Mm-mm.
Oh, that's a great one.
That's a good movie.
The guy that plays the brother with the one arm, he's in it. Yeah, it's a great crew. It's a really good movie. Like I said, it's heavy, it's intense. There are some humorous bits, but it's a trip. It's great.
Well, now you got to tell me about this Brotherhood of the Wolf.
Ooh, okay. So Brotherhood of the Wolf came out early 2000s. Came out I think within a year or so of like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. But it's French, so you have to watch it in French with English subtitles. Otherwise, the English voiceover is atrocious.
Gotcha.
but have you ever heard of the story, the legend of the Beast of Gévaudan?
No.
So that's like a French like myth story about like this monster that's attacking people in like the French countryside, and it's really good.
Is it like a folklore kind of thing?
Well,
Or is
it's tied into, yeah, and it's tied into kind of like the before the French Revolution time period. So it's about this like conservator, like natural historian who goes to the New World and comes back with a I don't know if it was like Canada or something, but he comes back with a native from North America back to that. But there's some really cool fight scenes. Some of the stuff is a little dated now with some of the camera stuff they do, but there's some really awesome things. That tri-corner hat and the high collar that they did on Legion Shop was, a lot of people were mentioning this movie when they saw those, like with that collar, because the opening fight scene, the guys have the collars up around their face like that and stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
The high leather collars to prevent sword slashes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got a little more martial arts to it than you would expect a movie set during like the French countryside, but it works. Like it's not like Shanghai Noon. Where
I know.
Yeah.
I whenever I hear things like about like European folklore and things like that, my ears kind of perk up now because I'm always listening for, okay, is there a possible figure obscura in there? Because I don't know any of that stuff. Like I know Billy is well versed on a lot of the weird stuff that folklores and myths, because he was talking about it with Cameron at Intern for a Day. But so like I hear people talking about things like that, and I'm like, okay, is there a possibility that could be a figure obscura?
It would be very shocking to me with what they have available now for what this movie is about to be made into a figure obscura. It's not to say it couldn't be down the road, but it is like a historical, like, I don't know if urban legend isn't the right word, but like, I don't know if it's quite folklore either, but it's one of those things. Like, it was there were reports, because I mentioned it to a friend and he was like, oh, you didn't tell me it was the Beast of Gévaudan. I'm like, I didn't know that was a thing people,
right.
Yeah, it kind of pulls from that, like, it's not spoilery, but like kind of pulls from that wolf and like werewolf mythology of European folklore there, where it's just like, don't go out in the moors, or like this town's besieged by the devil,
right?
Things like that, just a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it would be cool if Figure Obscura had where they touched on, if it didn't have where it was like straight up into like the werewolf lore there, but just have where it's like the beast lore, or that just some kind of twist to it there. I could see that happening. That'd be cool.
Hedgehog says they're going to do the Jersey Devil, right? Just a question of when. I would say that's probably a good possibility. I mean, especially since they're based in New Jersey. But who knows? I know
talked about that.
Yeah, they like.
I'm gonna throw this out there. I'll throw it. The Jersey Devil might be done the same year that the Dragon gets done, just because it's it could be such an iconic hallmark moment, not lowercase h, for the studio to make a figure of a Jersey character in that year of being,
Here's what I know from the limited amount of time that I've been collecting Four Horsemen stuff. They like to do things that we're not expecting. So you typically, when you're expecting something to happen, that's when they switch it up and do something different. So who knows? We'll, just wait and see. And so far, I've been amazed by everything they've put out. So just, be hopeful.
Yeah.
And, hopefully it eventually come.
Yeah.
And then Anthony throwing out big words, come on, we're not. Yeah. Yeah. Don't
cryptozoology.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
I could only hope to. I can't, like, when they do it, there's so much, not just folklore with that, is American history with was Benjamin Franklin and I can't remember what the first name of the Leeds guy was, just them having this rivalry through letters and publications
Mhm.
it's part of the New Jersey Devil lore and history there, and it's just like the guy Benjamin Franklin talked about this man like he was dead for like a decade, and then the man died, and he was just like, "Oh, it sounds like the ghost of Leeds has finally gone into a whisper. He's quieting down." When the dude died, Benjamin Franklin was a jerk.
So what you're saying is it was maybe one of the early flame wars.
Yes, it
On a
was. It's a
message board.
revolution. It was a flame war. And you know what? He had enough time to send that letter, think about what he said, and Ned leaves. And he still had where he was just like, yep, still gonna keep this going. Screw that guy.
All right. So what else you got going on, Billy? Anything else that you're either looking forward to? Movies, TV series, books? What else you got?
I'm revisiting the Luther series. It's on Hulu, but they just put out a Luther movie.
Yep.
So it was like probably more like an extended episode on Netflix. Idris Elba is amazing in that as detective constable inspector detective inspector Luther. It's wonderful. I'm excited for the D&D movie, even though Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro and stuff right there had where they really screwed around late last year, early this year. But I'm hearing really good things about the movie though. So it's like it's over the BS.
I'm hopeful that the movie will be good, but I'm doubtful that it will be. I have a feeling that this thing is going to be just like really bad, campy, and bomb. I don't know why, but I just got this feeling that it's going to be a rough one.
I did see.
I think you should.
Not that it matters.
I think you should definitely go and watch the original Dungeons and Dragon movie that came out, and then go watch the new one, and you'll be like blown away.
The first one, I watched I read some stuff about that one. I give that one a little more slack now. It's not a great movie, but I'll give that director a little slack because he didn't want to direct it. Like, he was just trying to get it made. But aside from the point, I don't usually base my opinion on stuff based off of Rotten Tomatoes, but I saw earlier today or yesterday that at 8 critic reviews and no fan views yet, it had 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Which blows my mind that a movie like that would get that positive reviews from critics. So maybe it does exactly what it's trying to do.
Yeah, I don't know. Typically, I think critics are hacks, and I disagree with most things that they like. So, but we'll see.
But a movie like this isn't usually something that they would rate that high.
Yeah, I get you.
So, yeah, I'm. The thing that bugs me about the D&D thing now, this is a total tangent. And this is not, I'm not trying to open up a whole nother thing, but I saw today or yesterday on Instagram or something, a like D&D, like movie backed AI generator where you can make your profile. And I'm just like, man, if like Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast couldn't sink any lower, in my opinion, with some of the shady crap they're doing, they're now just, it's like, oh, do this for free, but you're still using AI generated art, which I'm getting on a high horse, but yeah.
Well, and I think we should kind of go down that path because I think each of us have kind of had some opinions that we've talked about with this stuff. But I see AI generated art as a tool that can be used. I think it's no different than when people started digital sculpting. Like, is it or airbrushing? Some people, I know a person in mind that it says if you airbrush, you're cheating. Because you're not putting paint to the figure by your hand, or with a brush. So I don't know. I just think it's a tool. I think it could be used for good. I think it could be used for bad. I think if you take people that have real artistic ability and you allow them to use some AI tools, I think they're going to be able to create some awesome stuff. Unfortunately, right now we have people that are not very talented that are using AI tools that are kind of stealing some stuff from others to create awesome stuff. So, I think there's some good and bad with it, but the tool itself, I don't think is inherently good or bad. It's just what people do with it. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Billy.
Oh,
Or not.
the can of worms that is AI in general now, between like Chat GP and stuff, it's exploded. Honestly, I have where like my profile pic is where it took from like, I think it was like part of Ancestry, and it had where it put it through like a filter that had where it made it look like it was a oil painting. I think Curtis, you have the same one, or had the same one. But since then, it's jumped to where it takes the sections of other people's art, to where it's even refined that down. Some things don't even have 12 fingers anymore, and it's getting really disturbing. And I kind of just I get really sad when I see where they post something, and I'm like, it could be digital art where they've just done it up on like a tablet or something like that, filters and stuff through Photoshop, and then it says AI artist on it, and I'm just, I feel like there's other things you could be doing with your artistic talent that you have. If that's not what you're excelling at, you could be doing something else with that and excelling at a different artistic ability than having where you go like you type in the parameters for this AI to do the work for you at that point, because it's getting to the point where it's doing the work. The AI at that point should be getting the credit, and not the AI artist going like, yeah, I typed in He-Man and medieval times and this, and I got this 5 million likes. The AI did that, and it's getting to the point where the AI should be the one getting the credit.
Well, even then, in my opinion, the AI didn't do it. The AI is stealing it from all the artists that created the stuff that it borrowed from. And I agree with Danny here. If the artists that were using it were, complicit and compensated and gave consent, like I don't have a problem with that. But
then vice versa, you got Trevor saying the tool steals.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If the artist the program is using okayed it, that's one thing. But if it's just stealing stuff from it's basically, my understanding of it, it's basically a very high-tech search tool that goes out, looks through everything that it can pull keywords associated with what you typed in, and then meshes it all together for you. So it's basically like if you went online, found 30 awesome pictures, put your face in it, twisted it around in Photoshop or iPad Pro, did all this stuff, but the computer did. So when I see people saying, look what I made with AI, and it's the Ninja Turtles, but done up like samurais, in a really hyper realistic CGI look or whatever. And it's like, you didn't make that. Some other artists spent time making things similar to this that got forced together. And I know I used the tool when it first was hitting out because I just thought it was a fun thing. And then I saw people showing that's like, oh, look, you can see part of the artist's name in this corner. So for me, I'm done with AI.
I think once again, though, I think it if the tool is refined and to the point where it's generating these things without taking from other artists, I think the tool itself could be a good tool to help folks that already are artists create stuff faster and more detailed than maybe they already were. So like I said, I think that there could be some positive, but yeah, I don't agree with, stealing stuff from others and that part of it is kind of rough right now. And you do have folks that have no artistic ability, just typing in search terms and, I want to see what it looks like when you mix He-Man and Lion-O, and it just, mix them together and throw something out there.
Concept art.
I mean,
yeah.
It's one thing because like
my point being is,
go ahead.
Well, my point being is it has where it's gone from it initially started as a tool, but with like AI, it has where it initially was stealing from stuff, kind of like how when you're younger, you're tracing a comic book cover, stuff like that. That's what initially was, and it's gone to the next step. It had where like in just this year, it's gone from like that childhood thing an adolescence where like it's starting to, you know, kind of form its own kind of artistic look to it even. And at the point, once it gets to like that adulthood of AI there, just in like that grand scheme of things, like with ChatGPT, where it's writing whole books and stuff, it's insanity. Once it gets to the point where it's taken the inspiration and stuff like that, it'll have where it's its art.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe initially it had where it did steal a lot of stuff, and it had where it learned from it some. That's the thing. And again, I'm not pro AI art. It's the creepiness of like it's doing the thought process, it's working out the creative process that we all go through.
Well, like, yeah. So Trevor here says it actually learns, but it learns from using others' art. But so do you, Trevor. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like to Billy's point, like you had influence throughout your life, you know, whether it's Frazetta or whoever else that inspired you to do things, and you learned from those art, and that helped you to become who you are. And then you're now passing that on to other people as well. Like, we go to Intern from a Day and we learn things from Trevor, and you know, obviously we're talking about a computer program versus a person, but it's still, you're influenced by the things you see. Now, there's a difference between just taking the things that are out there that other artists have put out there and using that and mixing it up and kind of stealing that from them. And there's a difference between that and learning from what you've seen and kind of creating your own thing. So that's where the slippery slope is. So I can see both sides of the argument. You know, but I do think that it's something that's here. It's not going to go away, no matter how much people like or dislike it. But hopefully it gets to the point where it's not directly stealing from others, and it's really more kind of just learning from them. But I don't know. It's good discussion. I know people have some, you know, very strong emotions either way with it. But
I'll say this.
We're in such a world now that like it'll be here now, but then you're going to have where just probably in a span of a year, people will be like, man, I really miss like listening to vinyl records. Let's bring back vinyl records. And within that, it's going to be like, yo, that guy drew that himself. He didn't even have to use a computer.
He's pen
it's
to
going to
paper.
be back there. Yeah. Our attention spans aren't built for long term anymore. Like this will be a neat thing.
Mm.
There are my fears with AI in general and like the sentience of it and stuff like that. The possibilities, it's there, it's scary. But the fad will be gone within a year.
What do you, Jesse? You look like you're deep in thought.
I just think it's Danny. You know, yes, Trevor learned and was inspired by other people's work. You know, we all were. We've all talked about how we've learned from, you know, from Jeremy and his Mythic Conversations, Mythic Custom stuff. But like this, my problem with it is people saying like, I made this artwork by typing in prompts to a computer, whether the art was stolen or not. Like they didn't, just because you typed in, you know, 8 words and kept hitting refine and adding a word, like that's.
Yeah, I see what
like
you're saying. Maybe if they said like I directed this artwork or something, it's kind of like
right. But like
I think of the creative process with Wolf. Sorry to interrupt, but just like if I think of the creative process with like God's Fire, right? And like if Steven tells Emil, hey, I'm thinking of this orc character that kind of has a helmet and he's got like one side of his face is like kind of torn up and this and that, and he directs all this stuff, and then Emil sculpts it, right? Steven was still part of the creative process, right? Like he still gave the direction on where this stuff should go and kind of threw out the idea, but Emil did the actual sculpting. Like I think it's kind of like that. Like you're still part of that process, but you're right. They didn't make the art. So I can see the distinction that you're drawing there.
Well, and like, you know, I think the AI, at least with what I've seen thus far, as far as the art side of it, like is very different from ZBrush or digital sculpting, because, you know, you still have to understand sculpting to an extent to be able to use those programs. You might be able to learn how to sculpt straight into ZBrush, but like I've heard Eric Treadway and other people who have done sculpting saying like these hand sculpting in real life informed how they did it. You know, it's like Disney or any of these computer or cartoon animation studios. Like it's not just run a program and, you know, you design Elsa and, you know, type in some code and it makes your hour and a half Frozen movie. Like, there are people that spend years making 15 minutes of that scene. And I'm sure there's probably some AI and computer assistance in doing that, but it's still driven by a creative person, you know, and hundreds of creative people. And, you know, when AI starts doing photography, and, you know, with all these actors and celebrities giving up the rights to their likenesses for future CG renditions, you know, we're going to be seeing stuff like, at first I thought it was cool when I saw like John Wayne and like I don't remember what, some commercial back in the 90s, like a Super Bowl ad for beer or something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, but he didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's weird.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's
Yeah,
just,
I mean,
I
I
mean,
don't know.
you
It's just,
have Harrison. You would have him doing movies for the next 20 years in the future now, giving up his likeness, stuff like that, and just where they're doing the CG de-aging and things like that, instead of having where, hey, you have Tom Delancey from Nebraska, up and
mm-hmm.
coming actor, as where he goes in there and he gets the part of, you know, 2043 Indiana Jones. No one else gets a chance to be creative then. No one gets a chance to move on with that.
Well, and then there's the scary aspect of that too. Like when you start talking about that kind of technology and like the deep fakes and stuff, like, how likely is it to somebody to put out a video of somebody saying or doing something that they shouldn't be doing, and it's really not them, but it's getting them in trouble, and it's definitely a slippery slope. But this is, I'm sure people were kind of worried when there was robotics put in the workforce and far as production lines and stuff, and some people lost their jobs to that, and it's just kind of human nature. We're going to make things, we're going to make technology work for us as time goes on to do things that humans used to do, and this is just one of the latest casualties.
I like the meme or the comment I've seen going around. It's like, let the AI do all the menial stuff, like that will allow people to do, I'm not saying that people who take out the trash and do that sort of thing are like, they're very, like, they're important people.
Mm-hmm.
But, society would crumble without those people doing those jobs, and it's just, I don't know. It's just weird. It's just, yeah. My brain's running out of fuel. I'm not.
With AI taking over things that like are less desirable jobs or things like that. I don't think that should be something that's implemented until, yeah, exactly. It's Skynet, motherfuckers. I don't think that's something that should even be done until like we come to a consensus that there should be like a basic living wage paid to you in a country until like then, because once robots are doing everything, then what are you going to do?
Yeah. What value do you bring that, I mean, society was kind of built on, first you provided for yourself. Then there was the bartering system, and you traded for, you specialized in one thing and you traded for others, and then monetary system. And, now we're getting to the point where we've got, whether it's computers or robots or whatever, doing so much of the work. At what point is the human being completely cut out? And how do you support yourself then?
Exactly. And it has for like larger areas and cities like that, there is opportunity there, but for like rural areas like where I and even like Zombie 13 live, like if you take away some of those like menial jobs and things like that, you ruin people. It's I'm not even saying like doing the AI art. It's you just replace someone who did something, who learned something, who did craft, who had where they worked and things like that, and it's just like,
well,
you made people obsolete.
It's all going to come down to the people at the top, and this isn't like some preachy anti-corporate thing, but it's all going to come when it's cheaper to just type a couple words into an AI search program to generate a graphic for your company. When it's cheaper it's going to happen. When it's cheaper to do that than hire an actual actor because Harrison Ford gave his rights for the next 50 years.
Mhm.
What happens after that? Does Harrison Ford then become what do you call it, free domain or public domain after so many years?
They'll
if
figure
he's
that
if
out in
he's if
advance so
he's
they can
used,
have it for.
yeah, it's like I agree, Curtis. AI could be used because I think with the deep fake stuff like they did, and Trevor said this, Mark Hamill gave his permission to do that with Luke. He worked with them. And the deep fake stuff, what I've watched online from this group called Corridor Crew that show how they do that, it's still someone teaching the AI how to do that. It's not just like look up Mark Hamill as young Luke Skywalker and then they just plop it in over the face. Like someone's going through and manually capturing frames from old movies and all that stuff. And yeah, but like if AI is going to be around, let it do stuff that people don't want to do. Maybe there's dozens of talented musicians and artists working, emptying garbage or, working on a car just to get their bills paid, but again, that comes down to living wage in society. And, it's all messed up because humans suck and are also the best.
Well, and Trevor says here, humans needing to learn technology to do their job is differently is one thing. Technology doing it entirely in place of a human is another. But that's the direction it's going. I mean, they're we've got a pretty much the entire way that our products and everything are transferred in our system right now is through truck drivers. Like we've got truck drivers driving all over the country and throughout the world, delivering this stuff to different places. And now they're talking about trucks that will drive themselves. And so that's a whole entire group of people that would be looking for new work. And that's just one example, but that's kind of the way things are going. So at what point, Trevor kind of made that joke about Wally earlier about us, floating around in chairs, but somebody has to pay for your spot on that ship or on that chair. And how are you going to do that if you don't even have a job to support yourself? So,
and
yeah,
that's not going to be everybody.
Yeah, no, that's going to be the people that have the money to be able to have that. And, then there's other people that are just kind of left out in the cold. So I'm sure
trash pyramid.
Wait. We got to bring it back to the real question.
I think it depends on the lighting that's used and whether there's a hue on the lighting. So
I think if it has where it looks at Trevor stuff, it will have a blue hue on there. And yeah. I'm going to be real upset when I see that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's scary stuff to think about. I know I saw an interview with Elon Musk, which, think what you want about him, but he said, the scariest thing to him right now is AI, as far as what it could do, with our, system of government, with the way that we vote, with the way that we,
I love you.
We love you, Trevor.
Yeah, we do love you, Trevor. It's true. Like it's scary stuff, not just from the art standpoint, but from everything else that it can do. So we'll see. I don't want to take the, humanity is doomed approach, but it definitely is scary stuff. So
it'll definitely really tick some people off when AI decides who to cut at a job.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm
sure that's already happening in some places.
Yeah,
probably. And with the deep fake stuff, the one thing is always an important thing to remember: any kind of technology that we have right now that's mainstream is 10 years behind what actually is available.
Well, and I think it's amazing how fast it's going. Like if you look at, stuff where they tried to de-age somebody like 2-3 years ago versus like now, like even the Luke in Mando versus the Luke in Boba Fett, completely better in Boba Fett, in my opinion. And that was like, what, a year later?
Yeah. Because they hired a guy that did a better deep fake than Disney did on the original episode.
But the technology just seems to be constantly getting better too. Like, and
true. I mean, they did that stuff with Robert Downey Jr. in what was it? Civil War.
I ran
where it made
Yeah.
no Civil War when it was his barf program.
Yep. Yeah. Civil War.
Oh yeah, that I was
that-
talking about the Beige in 3, the show like where he was like, whatever. Oh yeah, that I think it was in 3.
where he's playing the piano and he's
I don't
talking to his mom and dad, and
Yep.
like
That's
that
what-
was amazing.
And he said, "This is the last conversation I had with them," and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. And
That
then
was amazing.
And then
Yeah.
you move forward a couple years from that, and then you've got Guardians 2, and they do the Kurt Russell at the beginning of the movie, and he looks just like Kurt Russell from when he was younger.
But with that one, it was a lot of makeup effects too, because that was Kurt Russell. They glossed him up some, and there was a little bit added on top of him, and it was that was like perfect.
And again, it depends on where they spend their money. I'm sure those movies had a lot more money than The Mandalorian did for that particular scene, but so yeah, there's room for all of it. And no, I don't think humanity is doomed necessarily, and because we have stuff like this. Well, no, where we've got guys like us, guys, ladies, girls, all of us, whatever, peoples, humans that want to talk about this sort of stuff, not just that stuff, but encouraging each other and sharing art. Like I painted this porcupine guy this weekend, and that brought me a lot of fun. And Curtis, you got to hang out with a bunch of people this weekend at the show and just get re-energized and just hang out with people that you like to be around. And Billy, you're hanging out with us tonight, and this is just so much fun. So like humanity's doomed I think humanity is only genuinely doomed when we succumb to believing that humanity is doomed.
Yep.
And if we can keep encouraging each other, having shows like this where we're just reaffirming stuff we like, not ignoring the difficulties and the negative things, but helping to build up the positivity to combat those things. That's my goal. And
I think that's why collecting in and of itself, like even if you don't customize or do art, collecting in and of itself is so rewarding because you have something tangible that you're able to look at. Like I know people that collect stamps or buttons or whatever. We collect action figures, and you've got this thing that you can physically look at and admire and love, and so yeah, that's a good way to bring it back around, Jesse. And you're right. Like we've got these. That's why these things bring us so much joy. And you go to a convention and you see the work that Stephen Bisciotti has put in or an Eric Miller has put in to create these unique things that there's one of a kind. Eric Miller had this amazing Archangel that he did, this Archangel tribute this weekend that I got to see. And it's like, there's no other one like that. That's the only one in the world. And no matter, what kind of AI or whatever you use, you're not going to create that same figure. So yeah, seeing the stuff that's done by hand is really awesome, and it makes it all worthwhile. So
I'd rather take a blue-hued Trevor Williams 1/6 shooter photo over an CGI render of a figure any day.
Yeah.
Okay,
so speaking of like the art, and I know we're at 2 hours, but I want to touch on this because Billy's already made a couple videos.
Touch away.
Yeah.
Nope, I don't like that.
Super 7, Turtles line, Rat King. Give us your thoughts, Billy, real quick. Like what? I know you've got videos out there, but what happened?
the main problem is they didn't label the figure right because they have Casey Jones sculpted by Four Horsemen. It's Mirage Casey Jones. They should have said this is Shredder's Revenge Rat King. They should have put that in the box. There would have been a lot less confusion and problems. Just label shit right. That would have been perfect. Because you have everyone going like Nickelodeon has the rights to the vintage look. You have Playmates had where they complained to Nickelodeon. Super 7's doing their best to keep going, and then they stopped employing the Four Horsemen for sculpts. It's like all this just all going around there, and like the problem is like they didn't label the figure. They should have just said Shredder's Revenge, Rat King. That's what it looks like. That's what they should have said.
But all that being said, we do know that the Four Horsemen are not doing at least as much with Super 7. It sounds like maybe nothing with Super 7. So now that we've got new sculptors in there on a line that people have really enjoyed because they look like updated version of the toys, not of a certain series, not of a comic, not of a cartoon, but they look like updated versions of the toys that we played with as kids. So now you're continuing that line, not doing a new line that's now this is a different Turtles line that's based on something different, but you're continuing that same line and you put out a figure that looks basically nothing like the original toy without, kind of changing it up or really talking about it or addressing it. I mean,
it's not great. It because I can understand the Mirage Comics Casey Jones. It's using the original buck they had for the toy looking version of Casey Jones and just doing the Mirage colors on it. That's fantastic. Do it as many times as you want to with other things. It's wonderful. But it has where, like you said, it doesn't mesh with the line, and it's not labeled for it. Like NECA has so many different TMNT lines. I touched on a couple of them in video, but they have the movie, they have the cartoon, they have the Mirage comics, they have the Archie comics. I think there's another one at this point. Who knows? But they have so much of that, and it has where it's labeled. It has where your expectations are set. It has where it's a subdivision of the TMT NECA stuff. Yeah. Super 7 should have done that. They could have done different box art where it's just like the Shredder's Revenge one or video game or something like that, just to be different.
Yeah,
but it's like, this is the Rat King we got, and it's not what anybody wants. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna get Jesse's opinion on this in a second because I know he was a huge Turtle guy growing up. I was just caught like the front end of Turtles, so like I wasn't in there for the whole run when I was younger because I was towards, I was getting a little older at that point and just caught the front end of it. But Rat King was definitely one of the ones that I wanted from Super 7 to go with some of the other figures that I bought because I've been kind of picking through that line, not collecting the whole thing. And I'm definitely disappointed with it. But I kind of feel similar to what happened with Classics, with Masters Classics, because it was like, it's going well. Mattel's doing the line, and then all of a sudden they, decide they're not going to really do it anymore, and they pass it off, and Super 7 does it, and they pick up the baton, and the first few waves were pretty bad. Like the faces were bad, it was rough, and then they started getting good, and they get to the point where they put out like the movie Masters of the Universe figures, the 87 movie figures, and they look phenomenal. And then guess what? Mattel shuts them down and says, we're taking Masters back, but we're not going to continue Classics. That's done. We're stopping Classics, and we're stopping you guys from doing the figures just as you're hitting your stride. And now we're going to do a totally different line. And we're going to start with Origins, which is basically like the vintage with added articulation. And then we're going to start out putting out the Mastersverse figures, which the first few waves of that Mastersverse was terrible. And then the faces were bad. It just looked terrible. Now they're starting to hit their stride a little bit, but they're hitting their stride with figures that are further down the line. And so now you got to go back and repurchase figures that you've already bought. It's like a whole thing, and I just feel like sometimes these companies ruin something that's going well. And this feels like that, like the whole thing that we went through with Classics as Motu fans, it feels like Turtles fans are going through the same thing, where it's like you had this great line that everybody loved, and now you're like cutting the Four Horsemen out, you're bringing in new sculptors, you're changing up direction, Playmates maybe is putting some pressure on you to make the things look different than the toys, and it's now you're ruining this line that everybody loved. But Jesse, I'll throw it over to you because you are the Turtle guy. What are your thoughts on this whole thing?
At the end of the day, with the Ultimates stuff, I don't care. I have the 4 Turtles and Shredder. I'm good. as far as the turtle aspect of it goes. Yeah, when I saw that picture of Rat King, I was like, what is this? I hate using this, but it's the fastest thing. I was like, what is this Twilight nonsense version of Rat King? Because it looks
he is dreamy.
he looks like a too
Yeah.
attractive, which is like he's not a character I'm super attached to from the toy line anyway. I personally really like the IDW Comics version of him, which does not look anything like either of those figures.
It's a bald one with the long hair.
He kind of looks like Filch from Harry Potter, but
Yeah.
But and just the way they write that character in that series, because he's part of this like extra kind of like pantheon of like, I don't know if they're gods, but they're these like supernatural beings that are like playing chess with the world. It's a really interesting story, but I think, and this is going to be probably the lamest answer, I think there's a lot of stuff we as toy collectors and fans see, and especially with the access that the Horsemen give us to how they do business, that and I'm not trying to like bash anybody for speculating about this stuff, but like I'm sure there's so much stuff legally that we don't see that they can't address. There might be stuff like we can't address XYZ because of this NDA or because just stupid little minuscule things. And I'm not saying your theories are wrong at all. Like that sounds right, but there's so many things that it's so easy for us, especially with the modern day. And again, I'm not trying to bash technology, but like with social media and all this stuff, like you see this and like, oh, that makes sense, but it might not be the way it actually is. And so like, yeah, someone who said it here, Hedgehog said it's not a sculpt issue, it's a design issue. I think the sculpt looks like it was executed very nicely. Like if the production pieces come out like that, it doesn't look like the original Rat King. It's a nice sculpt. It just doesn't look like the right guy.
It looks like the Shredder's Revenge Rat King. It's pretty gosh darn good. It's still too handsome for him though.
It's not what I would want that character to look like, but they did a good job at it. It's not like I can't think of anything to point to without sounding mean, so I'm just gonna not say anything.
Well, I think it's one of those where I don't know that any of us, to your point, nobody knows the full backstory, and we don't know who to point the finger at. But what I will say is that they've taken a line that a lot of people have loved, and they switched it midway through, and now the fans are the ones that are missing out. They're the ones that are losing in this equation, whether it's because of a decision that Super 7 did to try to save some money by not going with the Horsemen, whether it's a Playmates, stepping on them and cease and desist or whatever the case may be. Somebody decided to make a change in this line, and the fans are the ones that are going to suffer for it. So it's just sad. It's sad to see a line that people like kind of go down the tubes. I was talking to some folks this weekend that kind of felt that way about Black Series. Like, there's folks that really were into Black Series, loved them, and now just feel like it's going down a terrible path at the same time that the same company is putting out these Joes that are fucking amazing. Like, people love the Joes, and that's a line that started out really rough. People weren't real happy with some of the first Joe classifieds that came out, and then all of a sudden they just like kicked it in high gear, and now they're putting out some really great stuff. So you've got this same company that's putting out these awesome Joe figures, and then putting out these Black Series figures that are constantly going on clearance and nobody wants.
I'm going to give you 2 words for that.
Sure.
And even though I love a lot of the stuff this company makes, Disney.
Yeah.
The license, I'm
Disney
sure
Hasbro owns G.I. Joe.
Right. The licensing on the Disney stuff, that's why everything with Star Wars on it is more expensive. Like you buy the same Lego set, a Star Wars Lego set, and a regular Lego brand, like a Lego creation, same amount of pieces. The Star Wars one's always going to be ridiculously more expensive because of the branding on it. And we all know this, but I think that's part of the thing. I think my biggest issue with the Black Series stuff is the constant remakes, not just repaints, because we clearly love Mythic Legions and the way, I mean, they're designed to be reused and mixed around.
So many of this guy.
But yeah, like that's lazy. Just constantly putting a different belt on it because we need 85 different versions of Boba Fett, or you know, the all black version, the all white version, you know, whatever. That's lazy. But it's the constant price jumps with no improvement of quality. Like obviously everything's going up in general, but it's just like they keep doing it. Their interactions with the fans are so stunted, and it feels disingenuous. Like I've stopped watching the Star Wars live streams because it's like I don't feel like anyone working on these actually enjoy this product. I could be completely wrong, and maybe they're just nervous being on camera.
Yeah,
you know. Well, then get other people to do it.
Well, and the thing that I would say about that too, when you're talking about like, you know, just reissuing the same figures and stuff, Star Wars is probably the most diverse IP that's out there. You know, I mean, you've got this entire galaxy, 9 full-length movies, actually 10 full-length movies. You've got all these different series. You've got comic books galore. There is so much backstory and characters. And not only that, but you've got multiple versions throughout the different movies and shows of these characters that you should never run out of figures to be producing, much less have to reissue them when, you know, I've already got, you know, 10 Landos sitting on the shelf at my Walmart, and you send another box full of them, you know? So yeah, I agree 100%. It just feels like they're mailing it in with that line. And I, you know, I'm not a Star Wars guy. I'm not a huge Star Wars guy. But I think that your average Star Wars collector would probably be okay with paying a few extra bucks for that licensing if they were getting great quality figures and unique stuff on the regular basis. But that's not what they're getting, you know. They're getting the same retreaded crap thrown out there over and over again at high prices, and they're just not wanting to pay it. So
yeah,
I think Joe makes a good comment here. Cosmic better than Star Wars. So
I mean,
I
I think, and I'm not gonna dive into that can of worms.
All right.
No, but no. The and Hasbro stuff in general, like, yes, the Joes are doing a lot better than they were. Like I had no problems with the initial wave. I thought that was a fun reimagining of the characters. Did I trade out the original Roadblock for the more classic looking one? Yeah, because I thought it was a cooler looking figure. I'm glad they've shifted, but I again, I don't really have any problems with the other ones, but like they're all solid figures. Or I feel like Star Wars and even some of the Transformers they've been putting out lately feel so cheap.
So I'm gonna throw something out here. I know we're 2.5 hours, so if you guys at some point need to cut me off, just say, you know. But I just drank a coffee right before this, so I'm amped up. But I believe that part of the reason why classifieds have gotten so good is because Valaverse really pushed them. I think the whole, you know, Action Force line came out, had some really cool stuff, and I think Joe's had to step up their game. Could it be possible that Cosmic does that same thing for Star Wars? That Cosmic brings in so many sci-fi space guys to collecting that Star Wars goes, you know what, we need to start putting out some cooler stuff.
Fans could only hope for that. Like that's what happens, because I mean, like there's got to be a ton of overlap with like the short stories they're doing and stuff with it. That kind of builds a little bit more world there. I don't know if they'd want to do anything else beyond like short stories with it, if they want to do like a comic book or anything with the Cosmic Legions. That's like, let's say the license for back terms. If they did something like that with it and gave like some more content with it, I think it it would have where it might push them to try to do something. It might push Hasbro to be like, hey, they're going to pay this for these figures, but they don't want Boba Fett. We need to do something. We need to get Black Series Yak Face.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you take a $25 Sentry and put it in a Star Wars collector's hand versus a $25 Black Series. Which one are you getting more value out of?
The Sentry, because I mean, like, you have 100 versions of that bad articulated stormtrooper.
Right.
It depends. It depends on how connected that other guy is to Star Wars, and how invested in that. One of my best friends here, he does Star Wars customs. It's almost all like Mando and Trooper based customs, and he is killing it with the little straps and clips and all these gear. Where it's like somewhere between like Modern Warfare and Mandalorian or like Troopers and stuff, and he's just doing amazing stuff. For him to shift over to Cosmic, he'd blow the clutch out, trying to catch up. And I think he would absolutely kill it with his skills in the Cosmic line, but he has that emotional attachment to Star Wars. I mean, I do too, but not to the level he does, because it's just, I'm not saying it's impossible. I think it's going to be, I think we could see it. It might take a while, and maybe it'll force Star Wars to up their game. Hasbro's Star Wars stuff to up their game. I don't know. I feel like Cosmic is so different from Star Wars, whereas Valaverse's like the Action Force stuff is very much like
same scale, same everything.
There's so much you could easily put them together. And people who didn't know were like, oh, where's that GI Joe? Whereas people see Cosmic stuff, it's not going to say Star Wars, and I think that's a compliment to the Horsemen and their designs and the painters. Not leaning on Star Wars to create this world.
But I think you're right. You're not going to be able to really mix and match Black Series with Cosmic, not effectively, I don't think. But at the core of why people like Star Wars, if they really like space adventure and cool aliens and things like that, I think those same things would apply over to Cosmic. So even though they do have an emotional attachment to the Star Wars universe, I think if somebody introduces them to these things, it could be game on. So said it before, I'll say it again. If you've got an extra Cosmic figure and somebody out there that's a space guy, give them an extra Sentry or give them something, pay it forward, and who knows, they may help to grow the community. So
I'm 100% doing that to my buddy Tyler. And he'll probably hate me for it for a long time and be happy about it.
Cool. So I think that feels kind of like a show, unless you guys got anything else going on. Billy, you got anything that you want to plug before we go? I know you're everywhere. You're me now. You're the new me.
I don't know. I can't be everywhere. But other than like my YouTube channel, I think I'm over 300 subscribers right now. I'm trying to go for that 1,000 subscribers and stuff. Everyone does, but like I love doing that. So Billy Beige Customs on YouTube. Other than that,
where can they find you on Instagram?
At Billy Beige Customs.
There you go.
Yeah,
right there on his picture.
I took my time to type that, and hopefully I spelled everything right.
Yeah, you don't want to be like the download girl at Legions Con that messed up your name because she doesn't know how to spell beige.
Bali. I'm sorry. If you can't, the I is no wait. The I is really close to the O key. I feel bad now. Oh no. Oh, it's right next to it. Oh no, I am so sorry. I went off on that Domino's girl like it's Billy and ruined her life. I'm so sorry.
All right, so Billy Beige Customs on Instagram and on YouTube, and you just, like I said, you've been bringing it, a lot of videos, a lot of content out there, so appreciate it, and hopefully we see some more. What's that? I'm sorry.
We
What
need
was
to
that?
start doing Mythic Legions on their next. I'm so behind on like opening figures and stuff with them that like I'm probably gonna have like deluxe ones going on there, the Alithia wave on there, and it's just like so far behind. I feel.
Well, hopefully you got the All Stars too to do soon. So that'd be cool.
Mm-hmm. Got to jump on that.
Cool. Jesse, what about you? You got anything going on this week?
Just no. Usual stuff. Mythic Minute Thursday night. We'll be back here next week with our guests. I'll bring that up in a minute. But
Didn't you guys have a show last night? Did I see that?
Oh yeah, I was on. I was with Ostradamus Toys and Brick Something and Eldor for Masterversal Toy Hunter on Legions class. We spent, I think, like 3 hours talking about Cosmic Legions.
Nice.
So I did my deep dive read on all the bios and as much info as I could get on that. So, getting more and more excited for the Cosmic. Not to the point where I'm all in, but yeah, that's a great show. A lot of great people in that community that Oz is building up. Let's see. What is it? Trevor and Nate and Bill on 1/6 shooter tomorrow night, Legions Lounge. Looks like they're going to be looking at some of the All Stars 5 plus wave figures. So check those guys out tomorrow night. I think 9:00.
Yep.
Eastern.
They'll have the figures in hand, showing them on camera. No special lighting, no weird hues. Just straight.
Oh, he's going to eye now.
Just straight up on a webcam. So you guys will be able to see it firsthand. So yeah, check that out for sure.
That's Curtis. That's not me. I clearly live in blue lights over here and pink lights, so I'm all about weird colors.
Absolutely.
And yeah, there might be more. I'm assuming we'll get some more Cosmic Waves over the next couple of weeks before the full announcement on, was it the 31st?
Yep. I think Jeremy said that he was going to talk a little bit about Cosmic on his show upcoming this week too. So,
sure.
Yeah.
And folks that want
and we haven't heard anything about power contributes yet, right?
About what?
Any of the power contributes? Because I know they have their power.
That'll usually that goes with the All Stars wave.
Yeah.
What do you guys think might be one of the power contributes this year?
No idea.
I think that the power contributes are going to be whatever we don't expect them to be. Because every time that people expect it to be something, they're like, oh yeah, we got the parts for Beastman and we got the parts for Buzz Off. And it's not that. They're going to surprise us. They're going to do something totally wacky that we're not even thinking of. And yeah, that's what I think.
I don't think it'll be this year because Necronominus isn't out yet, and it's still like even like in pre-production and stuff like that. But I think next year we'll finally get Modulock because we have enough crazy bone pieces and stuff like that. I would just love to get a box that has where it's not even a blister; it's a box. It's just a bunch of parts, and it is like pop and swap, and it's like Modulock or like whatever, like hard to pronounce name they make for him. I would love
Pop
that.
and Swopular.
There you go. They could
Pop and Swatchalock.
Take the Maxilius figure and do it all in like glow in the dark plastic and make a Scareglow, something like that.
Ooh.
Yeah,
that'd be pretty cool.
I have no idea what they're going to be. I guarantee you they're going to be cool. I mean, even if you don't like the figure as is, you can customize it into something or put a different head on it. Like, yeah, they're going to be cool.
Absolutely.
I like them. I like the tribute-y, homage-y look of them. But I like how they fit into the lore of Mythos more than being a representative of the other, even though I know none of them are like officially canon as is, but I like that. Yeah. I want a Tila. I'll say that.
Oh, it's gotta be coming. It's gotta be coming.
A Tila or a Sorceress.
Sorceress, I'd be down for. Tila, I have no interest in, but Sorceress, I'd be a
Sorceress with soft goods.
Sign me up. Yeah,
yes.
that'd be cool.
Yeah.
So.
Whole different game now.
All right. Anything else, Jesse?
I'm gonna tell you guys who our guest is next week. Dave Orkin
Nice.
is
Hell
joining
yeah.
us here on the shelf next Sunday night at 9 p.m.
Another pillar of the community.
Indeed. Awesome guy. Looking forward to talking with him next Sunday night on Shooting the Shelf, 9 p.m. right here on the Just Shove It channel with me and Kirst.
Cool.
What else? I don't know. Be nice to each other.
There you go.
That's it.
Be nice to each other. Also,
try not to suck.
Yeah, don't steal from one another. Don't let Skynet take over. So
yeah, I know it's so cheesy. Golden rule, like do to other people what you want them to do to you. Like it's so cheesy and cliche, but it's such a good principle to live by, religious or not. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Must have an awesome. No, you don't have to have an awesome mustache to be on this show, but every mustache that has been on this show has been awesome.
By night.
True.
Because Joe's got an awesome mustache, but Sean didn't have a mustache.
Yeah.
I bet if you grow one.
Yeah, be excellent to each other. Indeed. There's other people who don't have mustaches that have been on here. Eugene Grimlock, he didn't have one. Anyway, I'm not going to go through that list. What am I doing? I'm tired. Yes, Joe, your mustache is also pretty great, and we'll get you on here one of these days.
Absolutely.
It's almost guaranteed because of the mustache.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That might not be Jesse's criteria, but it's definitely mine.
My criteria is, will you talk to me? That's pretty much my criteria in life for everything.
That makes for a better show when they talk to you. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to be friends? Yes. Will you talk to me? No. Well, all right.
All right. We'll just deep fake it. That's fine.
Yeah.
We'll do the Billy interview over, but we'll put Cameron's head on it.
Harrison Ford there.
Just to make it totally super not realistic, can we get the little puppet from the Muppet movie with Jason Segel that was like his brother? I'm not calling you a Muppet. I'm saying because it doesn't look like you.
Here's what we'll do. We'll go back to the first show that you and I did together where it was just me and you, and I'll replace you with Frazetta, and it'll just be a me and Frazetta conversation.
Oh my God.
You're going to make Trevor mad and never watch the show again.
All right.
It's been great talking to you, and I thank you for talking to my AI generated deepfake.
Yeah. Oh, it could be like Henry Cavill's not mustache at the beginning of Justice League.
In fact, we'll take Henry Cavill's mustache from Mission Impossible and put it on another person.
Just like in the middle of their forehead, like crooked.
Yes.
It looks like all unibrow.
It's just up there, like throwing the guns the whole time.
Cocking it.
Oh man, how crazy it would be to get Henry Cavill on here someday.
Dude,
if finally
you'd have to start talking
Legions
about
customizer.
Yeah, if we could get him in Mythic Legions, it would be so
mix
great.
Cosmic and Mythic Legions and send him one like, hey, look what you can make with Warhammer tributes.
Give him a space orc.
Be real.
Take a cosmic and throw an orc head on it.
Yeah.
Send him a dwarf. I think he'd be into it.
Man, Billy's cat is ready for him to be off the show. He's like, you need to feed me.
Problem.
All right.
Hey, it's been a great show.
It has been a great show. Thank you very much.
Had a lot
Billy.
of fun, guys.
Yes.
No problem. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, no problem. We're going to bounce you out, run the outro. If you want to hang around for a minute to catch up before you go, that's cool. If not, that's fine. But thank you, Billy. We'll see you on the interwebs and at Legions Con.
Yep.
See you all on the flip flop.
See it.
All right, Curtis, anything else from you tonight?
No, it was a fun show.
Indeed, it was.
No damage to our floors, so we're good.
No damage to your floors.
Yeah. Billy didn't damage our floors. So
Oh gosh. All right. On that note, thank you everybody for joining us tonight. If we missed your comments, we did not miss your comments. We see them all though over there.
That reminds me, you started a comment earlier that I
thank
wanted
you.
to get back to.
JG, don't leave, Jay. I don't know your actual name. I'm sorry.
Yes, JG. Right here. Do Legions painters tend to seal their work with Mr. Super Clear or something similar? That's what I use. I use Mr. Super Clear. They've got a couple different. They've got a matte and a flat. Both work really well. I know some people use the testers. That's that one right there.
Dull coat.
Yep.
Dull coat.
And there's a specific number on there, isn't there, that people normally use?
It says spray lacquer. It's 1260T dull coat. That's what I got off Amazon. I think that's the link Jeremy sent me.
There you go.
When I use this for now, if you do spray this, anything that is metallic or shiny will get dulled. So you might have to go back and put over like a varnish stain on it to make it shiny again.
Yeah. Or oh God, what's that? Nuln oil. They've got a gloss Nuln oil that you can, cover metallics with. That'll kind of shine that back up. So, but yeah, I use Mr. Super Clear. I love it. It's the best one I have found personally. But I know people use the testers a lot. But you can try different things, and different things work for different people. But yeah, I think either of those two are pretty good suggestions. So sorry that it took so long to get to that comment.
Yes.
But,
yeah. You don't have to go heavy with it either. Like when I did it for the stuff for Legion shop, I just had them lined up and I did it kind of like when I had short hair and I actually tried to style my hair at one point. It was just a quick, once or twice with that just to help lock it in.
There you go. Well, Jesse, that was an awesome show. Excited for next week.
Yes,
and, thanks for bearing with me while I was hopped up on caffeine and going for 3 hours.
That's all right. This might be one of our longest running episodes. I think the one with Matt and Sean went pretty long as well.
Yeah.
Billy's pulling a face down there. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. See you next time. And as always, what's on your shelf?